got time, cuz. Today I got time, cuz. You lucky on that day I was acting cool, cuz.
What?
Nigga, what's up? How gangster are you, cuz? I don't fuck with you, cuz. You disrespecting me. I don't fuck with you, cuz. You disrespecting me. I go hard, cuz.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing good today. Happy Friday, you guys. It is a lot going on. Oh my gosh, not everybody wanting to know my opinion on all this stuff. I'm like, I thought I was crazy, y'all. I thought I was the cuckoo of YouTube. Like, you mean to tell me everything I've been saying over the past 5 years has been coming to pass? Oh, you don't say. Huh. Fancy seeing y'all here. You know, not my tea sippers though, because y'all know we here. You know what I mean? So everybody else like, dang, TU was kind of low-key right. I've been telling y'all all this stuff was about to come to pass, and it is. And it's crazy. So it's a lot to get into today. That's why I'm coming on early. And I came on time, too. I said 4:45, and guess what? It's 4:46, okay? So we got some things to talk about. We're going to talk about some celebrity news. We're going to save a lot of the war stuff towards the end just because, I don't want them messing with my stream too early. So we're going to get into a lot of this tea. I've also been working on another deep dive / documentary, but for YouTube. So I'm really glad you guys liked it, my documentary about Miss Ann and Destiny's Child. So once again, shout out to Isaiah. We talked about it and in our last Zoom meeting, like 2 Zoom meetings ago. And so I was like, you know what, that'd be a good idea. And he wanted me to do the video, so I did. And I'm glad that a lot of people really liked it and it was well received. A lot of folks did not know, who Miss Ann was or the part that she played in Destiny's Child. So I'm really glad that I was able to put that information out there for those who didn't know. Some people did know about Miss Ann, but for the majority, I think most people did not know. So it was just really nice. It was it was like a nice play on nostalgia going down memory lane. So I'm working on a second deep dive. I've been working on it off and on for like the past week and a half in between being sick. But that should be up, I'm thinking maybe this weekend. I got to fix a few more things. But it's about it's about a lot of nostalgia tied in with all this stuff that's going on with Epstein. So I think you guys are going to like it. So I'm excited. I've just been busy working on that stuff in between all of this stuff. But I'm like, you know what? Let me take a break. Got to do a live stream. See how everybody's doing. I know it's so much going on. People are getting shipped overseas, family members. So we're definitely keeping all our tea sipper troops in prayers. I hope my favorite soldier checks in with us soon. We haven't seen Wavy Tay in a while. I know he got deployed. I think maybe 2 months ago he was deployed. So, I just want to keep everybody in prayer because it's a lot going on right now. And so we're going to talk about it. So let me go ahead and change this over to members only chat. And then we'll let everybody else come back in a bit. All right. Hey, members. How y'all doing? All right. So it's members only chat, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this. So let's start with the tea on Mathew Knowles. I've been telling y'all that Mathew Knowles really ain't shit these past few years. Initially he did his thing, but he's just come off to me as very bitter, entitled, and angry. And so he went viral the other day. Now it was funny enough, this was after I dropped my Miss Ann documentary. Mathew Knowles went viral. And he went viral for literally disrespecting an interviewer and cutting an interview short. So let me go ahead and pull that up here. Gonna kind of start backwards. The interviewer is basically asking him, they bring up Tina Knowles' name. And I get that that's your ex-wife, but at the end of the day, that's still the mother of your children. That's still Beyonce and Solange's mom. And, she was very much an intricate part, in Destiny's Child as far as styling, hair and clothing. She did a lot. She was on the road with the girls. So for him to kind of just dismiss, the things that Tina Knowles did not sit well with me. So I definitely read his ass for the filth in the comment section of the Shade Room, okay? Y'all not be in the Shade Room, honey. If I got an opinion, I'm going to state it. So let's go ahead and watch this video here. This is how it all started. We're going to kind of work our way backwards here. Give me just a second to pull this up. I was not happy about this at all. Is this the one? Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and watch this real quick.
Your flowers. I've said the same thing to Tina Knowles. You guys put in the work, and obviously the talent was there with your kids and your grandkids.
What work did she put in?
In the hair,
Okay,
clothing,
yeah, you're absolutely right. And the styling.
The styling.
The imaging, you're right.
She claimed to have preyed on the name, and different aspects of that.
Sure. Sure.
So, yeah. It's a joint effort.
We'll stop now.
Sorry, did I say something wrong?
No. We're good.
All right.
We're good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You've earned your flowers. I've said the same thing to...
That is insane, okay? So, Lauren LaRosa ended up speaking to the young man. Let me bring this down a bit. Who had interviewed Mathew Knowles. So this is what she says. I spoke to Candace Gibson of Pix 11 News this morning to get more details on the clip of Mr. Knowles walking out of their interview. After was brought up that Tina Knowles worked and also contributed to Destiny's Child's success, to which Mr. Knowles replied, what work did she put in? Candace Gibson from Pix 11, who conducted the interview, exclusively tells me, 1, he was completely caught off guard when Mr. Knowles ended the interview. I asked Candace from Pix 11, told no Tina Knowles questions were allowed by Mr. Knowles' team, and Candace said no. So nobody ever asked the team at Pix 11, like, do not ask any questions about Tina Knowles. That was never asked. Then they said, number 2, Mr. Knowles allegedly asked Pix 11 team to remove an abrupt exit from the original interview, which aired on January 30th, 2026, and doesn't include the leaked moment Mr. Knowles walked out. Then she said, I also later on saw the statement from Mr. Knowles that was given to page 6, where he talked on why he talked out of the Pix 11 interview. The statement claims that Mr. Knowles asked multiple questions. The statement claims that Mr. Knowles was asked multiple questions about Tina Knowles, even though the interview was supposed to be about Destiny's Child tribute concert, and that Candace arrived 15 minutes late. Mr. Knowles says in the statement that the interview started on a bad note and ended on one. I asked Candace about this statement from Mathew Knowles, and Candace alleges he was not late. He alleges that the crew setup time was different than his call time, and that there were 0 questions other than the Tina question asked. To note, the full interview I watched, there were no direct questions about Tina Knowles. I asked were anything edited out, and Candace alleges nothing was removed. So that was Lauren LaRosa. So now Mathew Knowles comes back trying to gaslight the audience. So let me click on this.
The styling.
Okay, so now this is his interview with page 6, where he's literally trying to gaslight.
Built the image for Destiny's Child. Wouldn't you agree that that's way more than just saying someone did the hair?
No, absolutely. I think a lot of people are familiar with Destiny's Child's story. I mean, they're one of the biggest female groups of all time. And so I think a lot of people felt like it was an awkward moment. It certainly appeared to be awkward. And I think people wanted clarity because they know what Miss Tina has done. They, of course, know your legacy with Destiny's Child.
The styling. Built the image for Destiny's Child. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, not the pregnant lady popping up. Okay, so then Tina Knowles replied back.
Tina Knowles doesn't really get credit.
She had reposted this video that this young man created, and he created this 2 weeks before this whole drama happened. So we're going to watch that really quick here.
for how she shaped culture. Being the matriarch is a big piece of the puzzle, but it's not the full picture. The truth is, her story is no different from other black artists who were blocked from participating in the mainstream, mocked for their work, and yet ultimately copied. Miss Tina left the hair salon to devote time to building Destiny's Child. She answered the question, how do you create a girl group that looks cohesive, honoring the past while still maintaining individual personality for each of its members? With major names refusing to dress Destiny's Child, she used bold fabrics and designs to create some of the most iconic looks of an era. They called her work tacky until it became couture, with similar looks showing up on runways. Nevertheless, this became the ultimate girl group blueprint, with the biggest girl groups now using the Tina Knowles method of cohesive individuality. And if that wasn't enough, in a return to form, Tina Knowles was able to take the decades of knowledge of hair health and styling and turn that into a successful prestige hair care brand, Sacred. From redefining hair to defining the look of an era, we celebrate the beauty icon, the matriarch, badass Teeny B, a true uncrowned queen. Tina Knowles doesn't really...
So then somebody asks the person, laugh my ass off, is this a clap back at Mathew? And they say it actually wasn't. Funny enough, this was written out 2 weeks ago. So, you know, it's really good that this person created that. And, you know, my thing is, like I said, Mathew Knowles was simply trying to gaslight. And it just shows the jealousy and the hypocrisy. Because for him to try and come back and say, well, I wanted him to say, you know, what else Tina did. She wasn't just a hairstylist. Well, if you were that bothered, why didn't you say what else Tina did? Why didn't you say what else she put into Destiny's Child as opposed to getting up and leaving? But the one thing that really did bother me that nobody's addressing, and I've addressed this in the past, is the disrespect that black media gets from other black celebrities. Okay? That man was doing his job. He was professional. He didn't ask anything disrespectful. And Mathew Knowles got up abruptly, interrupted him, and walked out the interview. Ask yourself, had that been a white mainstream reporter, would he have done the same thing? Or would he have sat his ass down in that chair and answered any and every question that they have for his black ass? But see, as soon as we see a black face, we think we can treat them with not the same level of respect that you would for a white interviewer. Same thing happens on the red carpet. When black journalists are on the red carpet, they'll get snubbed by other black celebrities. They've been called out for that. But these same black celebrities will run to Getty Images and get pictures taken. They'll run to E! News. They'll run to the white interviewers with all teeth. But then skip past, the smaller black media. And that's the part that's really bothersome. It's not even, his disrespect to Tina Knowles, I'm not even shocked by it. But it's the fact that people continue to disrespect black media. Just like when Stevie J was getting his peen sucked while being interviewed by that young lady on, what was it? They were doing like a webcam interview. And he's in bed with his shirt off. And then, somebody's jerking him off and sucking him off. Who does that? Why do we keep disrespecting our own? And then we wonder now why a lot of these blogs and, black media outlets, we really don't report on celebrities like that. And this is why celebrity culture is dying. Because you guys don't support black journalists. You guys don't support black media like that. Y'all don't want to do interviews with smaller black outlets. If it's not E! Entertainment or something huge, you won't see them. Y'all don't go to the BET Awards like that. And if y'all do, y'all go out there, y'all show out, y'all just, it's always a mess. So that was very disrespectful. He should be ashamed of himself that he did that man like that. That young man did nothing wrong. And it just shows you the narcissism that is Mathew Knowles. And that is what I said in my documentary. The same way he doesn't want to give his ex-wife, Tina Knowles, any type of credit, is the same way he went in and he bogarted Miss Ann's position. This lady laid the foundation, put in the work, and then he decided, no, I want to be a co-manager. I'm going to quit my job and help manage. And granted, he knew a lot about sales and he knew a lot about marketing, but he went on as a co-manager. Now, okay, Miss Ann allowed it, but why when she passed away and Latavia and Latoya felt like they were, they weren't getting a share piece of the pie. They weren't being heard. They weren't getting, they weren't able to sing a lot of the songs. A lot of the leads were given to Beyonce. And so they say, they love Beyonce. They love being in the group. They love Kelly. They just wanted a manager for themselves. And I remember the old interviews on VH1 of Mathew Knowles saying, that's crazy. Why would we have two managers? I'm the manager. Why would we have two? Put a teacup if y'all remember those old VH1 interviews where he was almost disgusted at the fact that LaToya and Latavia wanted their own manager. But then when I go into this deep dive of, Miss Ann, come to find out she was the original manager and you were the second manager. So it's very funny that it was okay to have two managers when you wanted to get yourself into position. But then once you got into said position, you weren't trying to split that manager role. You wanted to be the sole manager of Destiny's Child. Again, the reason why a lot of us still respect Tina is because last time I checked, Tina ain't been accused of stealing nothing from Beyonce. Remember, Beyonce's the one who put it out there, her team, that allegedly $10 million was taken from her. Mathew denies it, but the fact that that's even out there tied to your name, and then let's not forget all the side chicks he got pregnant, and then, he tried to come out a few years ago and talk about colorism. Oh, Beyonce only got on because she's light-skinned, which I find very interesting that now he wants to talk about colorism, but he has a chocolate daughter. I believe her name is Kai. That's the one. Kai's mama was Solange's friend. For y'all who don't know that. He got Solange's friend pregnant. Kai that's her name. She's a beautiful little chocolate girl. She sings, she dances. I want to say she's about 10 now, if I'm not mistaken. He's never once acknowledged this little brown-skinned girl. Since the industry's so colorist, why not because that is your daughter. The DNA test results don't lie. Why not help your daughter, who's obviously talented and young and wants to get into the industry and be like her big sister? Why not help her out? Because you don't like the mothers. Just like his son that he has by Alessandra. You've never seen Mathew Knowles acknowledge these two children. You've never seen pictures of him with these children. So to me, I was not shocked that he behaved that way, but I think he needs to be held to task. You don't get to come and talk to Page 6 and then try and gaslight us like we're crazy and like we didn't see what we saw. That man said nothing wrong. He was trying to give you your flowers and also give Tina Knowles her flowers for what she brought to Destiny's Child. But again, his ego couldn't take it. He couldn't take sharing the spotlight with his ex-wife as if she wasn't there every step of the way. So it just says a lot about Mathew Knowles' character. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that was Solange's friend. Oh, her name was Coy. Oh, okay, I knew it was something with a K. So Coy. Okay, the little girl's name is Coy. Yeah, she was Solange's friend. I'm surprised Solange ain't whoop her ass. Maybe she did. We just don't know. Solange be whooping ass in the elevator, so you never know. But yeah, he's a whole mess for that. There was a video of her. There was an update of her a few years ago, singing, dancing, real pretty little girl. Let me see if I can find her. Yeah, she's a lot older now. Oh, here she is. She has a little official page. Oh, she grown. Okay, I ain't seen her in a few years. Let me go ahead and share this with y'all. Here she go. Pretty little girl. That's her. Little Miss Coy, honey. It sounds like there might be some music. Let's see. Girl, she's always trying to dance or sing to some Beyonce song. Beyonce don't claim you. She's a cute little girl. Beyonce don't pay her no mind. She stayed trying to use Beyonce songs. Okay, girl. Let's see what else. Yeah, she's a beautiful girl. Here she is now. She's a lot older now. I don't know why that one popped up. Oh, she's 15 now. Okay. Ooh, time flies. Yeah, this is Mathew Knowles' other daughter. Blue Ivy and Rumi's aunt. And Mathew Knowles has never been in her life. Let's see. She got music playing. And got some long hair too. Long, beautiful, natural hair. Very pretty girl. But yeah, Mathew don't pay this child no attention. So like I said, I don't respect him. Well, Beyonce don't owe her anything. Everybody keeps acting like it's not. Beyonce didn't impregnate her sister's friend. That's Mathew Knowles' daughter. Beyonce don't want to have nothing to do with that. You know, that really broke up their family. And, you know, her loyalty is to her mom. So I don't, you know, you can't blame Beyonce for that. That's the daddy's fault. But she do be trying to dance and sing the Beyonce songs. I've noticed that. Yeah, I remember that news clip that went viral a few years ago when she was like, oh, the single ladies, all the single ladies. We're like, okay, girl. She do be trying to sing to little Beyonce songs. And Beyonce don't pay her no mind. Just keep living your life. Big sis don't want no parts. And that's okay. Yeah, so Mathew Knowles is a mess. So let me go ahead. Let's get to the next story here. Let me pull this up. Okay, so we're going to talk about the whole Keke Palmer. She did an interview with Demi Lovato, and it went viral where they were talking about how, you know, they were dating older men when they were like 15, 16, and the men that they were dating were in their 30s. And so this was very interesting. Not shocking, though, but just interesting. Go ahead and there we go.
Now, I found myself dating. I'm 15. Why is my boyfriend 20?
Why was my boyfriend 30?
Girl!
You know what I'm saying?
Damn. Like, I'm not smiling at that, but that is real. We was trying to find outlets, though. I don't think, you know, and also just a way to process this, and nobody our age, I mean,
could understand. Nobody our age could understand. But then you look back in hindsight, when I turned 30, I was like, that's not okay.
Girl, the moment when you realize and you get the age of a lot of people that were around you and doing stuff, it's almost a mental break that can happen because you realize, you were taking advantage of. Oh, I was being exploited.
Yeah.
Oh, was very difficult for me when because at 15, I'm thinking like my boyfriend's older because I'm doing an older job and I'm doing a bunch of things and this is the way that it is, and it seemed normal in my mind. But then
especially if you're an older soul too. Especially if you're mature for your age.
I love the Hillary Duff song.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, because it's like, we all had the same damn life. Then.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where people kept telling us you're so mature for your age.
I also wrote a song about that. It's called 29. Oh, and when you listen to it, I think you'll be able to relate to it.
Now, I found myself dating.
So I want to play this other video as well. Hold on. I think it was this one. Okay.
15. Why is my boyfriend 20?
Why was my boyfriend 30?
According to interviews and reports, Wilmer met Demi Lovato in January 2010 when she was 17 and he was 29. However, Demi says they didn't start dating until after she turned 18, and the two dated on and off for about 6 years. Wilmer also dated Mandy Moore in the early 2000s. Mandy revealed that she dated him when she was 16 or 17. Wilmer was around 20 to 22. Years after their breakup, Wilmer claimed in a radio interview that he had taken Mandy's virginity. Mandy said that it was a fib, but she also wondered why he would ever say that to anybody and then lie about it. Wilmer was also linked to Lindsay Lohan in 2004. When the relationship became public, she was 18 and he was 24, although reports said that they were seen together when she was only 17. After Demi's recent interview with Keke Palmer, Wilmer's past age gap relationships have gone viral again. Now that Demi is older and wiser, she's able to reflect on her past relationships as well. She says, I look back in the past and think that's gross. I was a teenager, and so to me, that's gross. I think that when you're in those developmental years, you should absolutely not be with somebody that is older than you by that much, she added. It's just unhealthy and toxic. Now Demi Lovato is in a healthy and loving relationship with musician Jordan Lutz.
I'm 15. Why?
All right, so y'all just saw that and come back on the screen. So I think what I did like about that conversation, you know, a lot of people like to act like it's just Hollywood. like it's just the Keke Palmers and the Demis. This happened to, I think, a majority of girls, myself included. We all dated older guys. You know, we had older guys who came at us in junior high and high school. I remember older guys pulling up to the high school, older guys going to proms, you know what I mean, with juniors and seniors. And these guys were well into their mid-20s. A lot of it was the norm back then, you know, to date older. And it was kind of pushed on us, like, you know, guys our age are immature. You know, older guys had cars, they had money. But they're not lying. Once you get to that age that guys were when they started talking to me, like once I turned like 24, 25, and I'm like, there's no way I can look at a 14, 15, 16-year-old boy. There's nothing we have to talk about whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with Keke when she's like, once you get to be the age that these predators were, it really makes you think like, damn, you were really manipulated. You know, because that's the game they always ran. You're so mature for your age. You're not like the other girls. Oh, I can see, you know, you're going to be somebody in life. And so it's just kind of sad. It was very, very common. And even in the comments section of my Instagram page, a lot of girls were writing and sharing their stories. You know, like I told you, we had a daycare in our high school. So I had daycare class first hour. And it was my job to make breakfast for the babies and stuff like that. And I would say out of all of the moms in the daycare, because it was about maybe 15 kids total in our daycare, most of the fathers were not other teens. I would say 95% of the fathers of those children that we took care of in daycare, they were in their 20s. It was not a teen mom, teen dad situation where the teen mom went to school, the baby was in the daycare, and the teen dad went to the school. Nope. All of the dads, except for maybe like one or two kids, were grown men. And that's how normalized it was. Like, we legit had a daycare in our school. You know, I've talked about that in the past. This is how normal it was, you know, with that. That's why R. Kelly was able to get away with the nonsense that he got away with for years. It was normalized in Hollywood. And, you know, another thing that I've come to realize as I'm going through this documentary is there's a lot of grooming words that are used for young girls. Even when we say things like, oh, you know, girls mature faster than boys. Well, who's telling us that? It's usually older men, older people. And, you know, maybe there is some biological differences, you know, between like a 15-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy. But it's not much, right? But I feel like that wasn't really to push like the science of it, but to okay for older men to date younger girls. Like, well, they mature faster. I remember like being 15, 16 and getting on the city bus. And I remember this man, I mean, he was grown. And he was like, dang, I wish they made 15-year-olds like y'all when I was a kid. And it was like, well, what are we supposed to do with this information, sir? You know? Like, sometimes I feel like that Corey Feldman interview when he goes, they were everywhere. And that's how I feel like my childhood was in a way. It's like these damn perverts were everywhere, you know? You had girls having full-on relationships with the homeboy's dad. And nobody saw the problem with it. You know? It's sad. Even like a lot of the girls I know who were teen parents, most of their fathers of their children are older than them. So, yeah, it is. It's so, you know, I want people to understand that it's not just a celebrity thing. You know, a lot of regular girls went through this throughout the, you know, just growing up. Let me read some of this here. Crystal says, yes, it was normalized. Leah says, my grandmother was married at 15. Yep, it was definitely really normalized way back in the day, for sure. Lavender says my mom was 15 when she married a 28-year-old. Wow. Rashina says my dad was 21 going to high school dance. He married my mother when she was 17. Yeah, it was like that. That's not as big as an age gap, but it was definitely like that. Back in the day, and I don't know if there's a cutoff limit now, but back in the day, grown men could come to prom. As long as that was your boyfriend and your parents were okay with it, they were 25-year-olds at the prom. And it's just like what in the damn, what the hell's going on here? Like, why would you even want to go to prom? But it wasn't hidden. It's like, yeah, my girl's 17, 18, and it just was not hidden back then. It was very normalized. Kit 8168 says, I was freshly 14 when this 25-year-old kept trying to holler at me, and everybody knew, even my parents, and they let it happen, but we never actually dated. But everybody called me his girl. Let's see here. Crystal says, I was 15 when I had my first child, and he was 28. Yeah. Yeah, that's usually how it happens, and you don't realize it until you get older, and you just feel like, dang. And then I think the craziest part of those relationships, dating older guys, is that, like, when you would get into arguments, right? And they say something like, you're just a stupid little girl. And it's like, yeah, I am, bitch. I'm 17. I'm 18. You know what I mean? And it's like, looking back on that, it's like, so you obviously know that I'm a little girl. Because I remember I was talking to this older guy, and we got into it. Because being a kid, I was like, oh, I didn't really know a lot of, like, Ice Cube songs. And it's like, he kind of got upset that I didn't know, like, I was like, I think that was like around the time, like, Eminem was real big, the Slim, real Slim Shady. And I'm like, and I think I said something like, oh, he's a better rapper than Ice Cube. Like, that Ice Cube stuff is old. And he got so mad. Like, he was livid. He's like, you're just a dumbass little girl. And it's like, yeah, I am. Your point is what? Like, folks is crazy. But it was so normalized back then. And so I can only imagine if you worked in an industry like Hollywood, how normalized it was. Because when you're on set, the only other kids you're around that are around your age are other actors. But if you're on a show where there's not a lot of kids, or you're one of few children on those shows, then who are you around all day? You're around older people, So that's the part, I can only imagine, like, what Keke and Demi and those girls went through. But Wilmer Valderrama has been a damn weirdo for years. They talked about him. I remember him waiting to, like, come out and announce that he was dating Lindsay Lohan as soon as she turned 18. But if you guys remember back then, they had been hanging out for at least a good year and a half. Like, back when she was 16, 17, she was running around with him. But they decided to make it official as soon as she turned 18. But he had been smashing her. Just like with Kylie Jenner and Tyga. She was underage and Tyga was a grown-ass man. But again, these relationships are very much normalized until you become the age that man was when he pursued you. And then you're just thinking back to it like, yeah, I have nothing in common with a 15, 16-year-old whatsoever. So yeah, it's insane. Let me read these super chats here. It's Shanette sent $500. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Let's see here. Blatino Boy sent $20. He says, I remember Big Boy from Outkast. He was cast in a role in ATL where he was dating a high school girl. And Matthew McConaughey played in a movie role where he was in his 20s and giving a monologue about dating young girls. Holly weird. Yeah, Paul Walker, before he died, a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but Paul Walker was dating a 16-year-old. And he was in his 30s. Paul Walker always dated really, really young girls. So, yeah, it's been crazy. Let's see here. I Vanished 2832 sent $499. I think that's in Mexican money. She says, hey T, been listening to you since 2015. I pray you are safe and healthy and you're home. In Mexico, currently in Casablanca. It's powerful to see how serious people take Ramadan here and how the war is going on during that month. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. And thank you so much for the information. Definitely stay safe out there. It's a lot going on right now internationally. So thank you for checking in with me. So let's say I've been on the stream for 35 minutes. Okay. Let's see here. AG Cent 999 says, hey T, I'm glad you're feeling better. Can you give me a birthday shout out? It was yesterday. Well, happy belated birthday, AG, my mod. I hope you enjoyed your birthday. So shout out to you. So thank you so much. Let's see here. Verbal Beauty 18 sent $5. Says, I'm 30 and I have to wear makeup and wigs not to look 16. Men flirt with me thinking I'm a teenager and get disappointed when I tell them my age. That is crazy. Not them being disappointed when you're of age. That just says a lot about those men. That is some creepy mess right there. All right, so let me go ahead. Okay, let's see. Beyonce's wig. Sent $4.99 says, I remember when I was a kid and the media kept pushing this relationship with Miley, who was 16, and she dated a guy, Justin, who was 20. Yeah, I don't remember that relationship, but yeah, they pushed a lot of that stuff. It was definitely normalized. It was not seen as a big deal, you know, and I'm glad these conversations are being had. And again, you know, you still got young girls who date older guys. That's never going to change. I don't see that changing, because you have a lot of young girls who feel like, you know, when you're 15, 16, you feel like you know everything. Can't nobody tell you nothing. You feel like you know, you've experienced so much, you feel grown, you know, things like that. And then you have, you know, grown men who are always going to, you know, go after young girls on the down low. I think now there's a lot more repercussions. Like back then, there weren't really any repercussions. So now there's more. So I think it's more or less gone underground, where it's like, oh, we got to keep this on the hush. Can't nobody know. But like back then, it was out in the open. It was straight up out in the open. You would literally have, as you're walking from school, walking to the corner store, grown men in their 20s and 30s, hell, sometimes old enough to be your dad, trying to come at you. So it's insane. It's insane. Somebody said the Anthony Anderson interview with Lindsay Lohan. Brianna Davis sent $9.99. She says Jerry Seinfeld dated a 16-year-old when he was in his 30s. Her name was Shoshana. Ooh-wee. Yeah. Like I said, I'm glad that they're discussing it now, because it's like, you know, like I said, it's looking back at everything. And again, I'm not one of those people who feel like, oh, you can't date younger. Once that person is of age and their frontal cortex is completely, you know, developed and they can think for themselves, I could care less. But anybody dating somebody and you're like in your 30s and you're going after people who are barely legal or they're 16, 17, you have an issue. And then you got to ask yourself, what is it that you can't communicate around with somebody your age? Because a lot of times it's just to manipulate that person, to control that person, to get sex out that person. It's not really love. It's really not. It's about control. And they know they can't do that once a woman knows who she is. You're not going to be able to run game and manipulate her like you can somebody who's younger. So that's why a lot of these guys do that. They said Jerry Seinfeld took her to prom. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. It's been about 40 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and let everybody in here, all the subscribers. Give me just a second here. Okay. They're about to come rushing in here. Come on in. Okay, so now let me go ahead and bring up. Okay, so let's talk about Stefon Diggs real quick. If you guys do not know, Stefon Diggs was let go by the Patriots. So he came out and he said the following. Let me pull this up here. So, not them using this picture. So he said this. He basically said, "Thank you for a hell of a year. We family forever at Patriots." So a lot of people are talking about this, and I think part of the reason, even though he played a good season, they made it to the Super Bowl, he forgets his off-field drama. And one thing about the NFL, y'all can say what y'all want to say about the NFL, they try to act like they're super wholesome, even though they got crazy folks in the NFL. They want a certain image. You can do all that ratchet shit in the NBA, but when it comes to the NFL, they want a certain image. This man got all types of, allegations from men and women against him. Then he got every other month there's a new baby popping up. But what I really find funny is that the NFL initially tried to prop him and Cardi B up like they were the new Taylor Swift and what's her man? Travis Kelce. The Patriots low-key try to prop them up like that. Because my thing is, if his off-the-field antics were that serious, why even entertain their relationship? But they were doing that to try and get more eyeballs on the Super Bowl, to get people to tune in. But they really thought that they were going to be like the Travis and Taylor Swift. And that wasn't the case because he couldn't stop having babies every other damn month. So now he's been let go. It's like, damn, when it rains, it pours. He lost the Super Bowl, and now he done got let go from the Patriots. So, yeah, I found that very, very interesting. But again, you got to watch, especially when you're working for these, conglomerates like the NFL, you got to move accordingly. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, anything can happen to you in the NFL. Yes, in the NBA, but at least with the NBA, they're guaranteed certain contracts. The NFL isn't. So if he gets hurt, if he tears a knee, a meniscus, if something happens to him, imagine that same amount of money is not there, but these kids aren't going anywhere. So that's child support, multiple homes to take care of. That NFL salary is not always going to be there. And I don't know if he has any real big endorsement deals because, again, his character off the court or off the field is real sus. So I don't even know if he has like big deals like that, like brand deals and stuff. So he put himself in a really crazy situation, especially by having all these kids back to back like that. Somebody called him the Raw Dog King. He really is. I don't feel bad for him. So they kind of let him go. They're like, all right, we no longer need your services. Bye. So they cut him. I'm sure he'll be picked up by somebody else, but the fact that he got cut right after the Super Bowl, it says that it's about his off-field antics. The Patriots were tired of it. It's not a good look. Yeah, he got to be stressing. I would be. Okay, so now I'm going to say that one towards the end. Let's get on, 50 Cent and T.I. Let me find the clip here. Oh, I thought I had it up. Let me just go to 50 Cent's page because I thought I had it up, but I'm not seeing. I have all these clips. Oh, here it goes. Okay. So 50 Cent is basically out here wilding. So you guys know he's been beefing with Tiny and T.I.'s whole family. Delmonte came out with a diss track. King has come out with a diss track. Even Buddy Red, okay, a.k.a. Messiah, he came out with a diss track on 50 Cent. So what's crazy is that yesterday, 50 Cent ended up dropping the new trailer for Power. And in the theme song, he goes in on Tiny. And basically he says, your daddy had your mama eating, every female's box in the ATL. And so everybody's talking about that, but it looks like T.I and King and them are still going in on him. Let me see. I'm gonna play just a snippet of the song. Okay. I think I got it right on that part.
Store first to a block, the low bread to a lot. Slap box to the Glock, or the stab wound to a shot. I know magic, bag magic, boom magic, get the Gucci, bitch, get the Uzi. Niggas still can't move me. I'm back with my dope boy grandma. Your daddy made your mama eat every box in Atlanta.
That's the part. Your daddy made your mama eat every box in Atlanta. So everybody's talking about that, and that's gonna be a part of the theme song. So a lot of folks were like, okay, 50 Cent is just super petty. And so he keeps playing it over. Let me refresh because I was on here earlier. He's been going back and forth. He was dissing Dame Dash. He must have took that down. He went in on Dame Dash. He caught out JD. Yeah, he took it down. Oh, now he's going in on Tina Knowles again. He had disrespected her a few days ago. Okay. So what they're basically saying is going on is that they're saying that he's supposedly working on some type of documentary about T.I and Tiny's allegations. Remember a few years ago when I had talked about it, it was like all these women, it came because of Tiny's friend. Her and her friend had a falling out. And then all these women came out, not just in Atlanta, but around the country, talking about how Tiny and T.I, were having threesomes with them, and somebody said that T.I put his foot in their coochie. It was all types. It was all types of mess. I said, not the foot in the coochie. What kind of freaky shit is this? But y'all remember that. So they're saying word on the street is 50 Cent is going to contact all those people, and he's coming out with a documentary against Tiny and T.I. So it wasn't Shakana. It was the other girl. I forget her name. It was a whole nother girl. Yeah, it wasn't Shakana. I did video. I got to go back in my archives. I did videos on it. It was a mess. Y'all remember that? Not the feet emoji. Queen says the North remembers. Yeah, remember I did that. I think it ended up being like a Dragon Ball T series. Because first it was like 2 or 3 girls, and then like literally the whole Atlanta was coming out with a damn story about T.I and Tiny's bedroom antics. It was a mess. It really was. Sabrina, that's her name. Thank you. It was Sabrina. Yup. Sabrina started all that shit. Whatever happened to her? Sabrina Peterson. Yup. The North definitely remembers. It was a mess. So supposedly 50 Cent is about to do a documentary on all that stuff. So, child, 50's petty. He had also had something posted earlier about Aaliyah. He called her the B word trying to go in on Dame Dash, and people were lighting his ass up. I see he deleted it. I thought that was very disrespectful because Aaliyah don't got nothing to do with none of that shit. So I don't know if y'all saw that when he was going in on Aaliyah. Well, he didn't go in on Aaliyah. He's going in on Dame Dash, but he called Aaliyah a bitch. So I see he's deleted it. Somebody called him Sugarfoot. Yeah, it was around quarantine. It was around 2020. Yeah, it was a Dragon Ball T series on this channel. Y'all got to dig through my videos. Watch them take some, clips and stuff from my old videos. They love to go through my archives for receipts. But yeah, it was a mess. So, but it looks like T.I and Tiny, they're not really sweating it. King came out earlier today, dissed 50 Cent again. So they're still going back and forth with him. So that whole situation is a mess. He's definitely taking it all the way to hell. You are so right about that, Miss Neek. That's exactly what he's doing. All right, so let's go ahead going to say that for the end. Okay. So let's hit on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. We got to talk about this. Potomac, not Atlanta, excuse me. Wendy Osefo. So, more information has come out. And what I find very interesting about this is when I first talked about it, I was drugged in my comment section. You had a lot of people dragging me, saying that I was wrong for doing a video on them. They're just trying to take down an educated black woman. People were accusing me of being jealous because I don't have a bunch of degrees. I'm a dumbass. They were just dragging me for the filth. I was getting dragged by African Americans and Nigerians. I'm wrong for talking about another Nigerian sister. All this stupid shit. One thing I tell y'all about my channel, hate me or like me, I don't care. One thing about me is I'm unbiased. And I'm going to keep the same energy for everybody. So if you weren't in my comment section crying when I drugged Jen Shah for her scheming and her scamming and putting her kids through hell just to live a lifestyle that she couldn't afford, what made you think I was going to go easy on Wendy Osefo? Especially when this woman supposedly led with her degrees and she was so much better and so much smarter and all this than, when she first got on Potomac, only for her to get caught up in the same hype. Say what you want to say about me. I could care less. Y'all call me broke, dusty, whatever. Guess this shirt costs $10. But guess what, bitch? I'm not dealing with Fed cases. That's the difference. I'm not living above my means. If I can't afford it, bitch, I don't need it. That's the difference. So I may not have 6 degrees. I may not be highly educated, but I have street smarts and I have common sense. And I have enough common sense to not live above my mean and not to show off for people who I don't even know, who don't really care about me. And not to put myself on a show knowing that you have to be on this show living above your means when you really technically can't afford it. So I want to know where all those people are at who were in my comment section dragging me a few months ago when I talked about Wendy Osefo. Because now the receipts are in. This is a real charge, okay? This was not a conspiracy, wasn't fake. The feds don't pounce unless they have real evidence. And now what's very interesting is that she's throwing her husband under the bus. They're now requesting separate trials because most likely her husband's going to go down for it. And this is why I believe that Eddie's family has never liked it Wendy. Because I've never even heard a situation, because y'all know Nigerians, we're big on weddings. We're big on family. I've never heard of the husband's family not liking the wife to the point where they don't even show up to the wedding. So obviously, Eddie's family saw something in Wendy that they was not feeling. So I don't feel bad for none of them. I kept the same energy with Teresa Giudice, Jen Shah, Mary Crosby. And like I said before, I also find it very interesting that a lot of people who do commentary, and, we live in America, so most of our commentary is going to be on American, especially, black hip hop, stories, right? But it's funny how a lot of the same people who do commentary skip this commentary. They won't speak on this. But they do commentary about African Americans all the time. But not her because she's Nigerian. I found that very interesting as well. But like I said, everybody gets the same energy from me. So y'all can call me uneducated, whatever y'all want to say. But bitch, I'm not looking at a $400K fraud case. Okay? So now, let's go ahead. Let me pull this up. No, Mary ain't been arrested. Mary is just, they did some type of documentary on her on Netflix or on Amazon Prime, one of the two. They said she was stealing from the church and she was running a cult and all that other stuff. But we're not going to talk about her too much because her son just passed, so she's going through it right now. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this. Real Housewives of Potomac, Dr. Wendy Osefo and husband Eddie to face separate trials in $400K fraud case. A Maryland judge has ruled that the Real Housewives of Potomac Star Wendy Osefo and her husband, Eddie Osefo, will face separate trials as their ongoing fraud case moves forward. The couple appeared in Carroll County Circuit Court on Wednesday, March 4th, where court records show both waived their right to a speedy trial within 180 days of their initial court appearance. The decision means the spouses will no longer be tried together as previously expected. According to Carroll County Circuit Clerk, neither Wendy or Eddie entered a plea during the hearing. A status conference for both cases is currently scheduled for May 20th. Okay? The trouble started in October when the couple was arrested and charged with insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, making false statements to the police officers. Authorities booked the pair in Westminster, Maryland, before releasing them on $50,000 bond. Now, if you guys remember, I did a video on this, and I felt like a lot of it was them fronting, stunting, and that her mom was also to blame as well, because her mom put a lot of undue pressure on Wendy to not only take care of her financially, but they were trying to put on airs for this show. The thing is, nobody ever asked Wendy to be like this, to be like this fashionista. People were cool with her just being the educated lawyer on the show. But as the years went on, you could tell, her new personality was coming through. And she felt the need to obviously rob Peter to pay Paul and do some more scammy shit to keep up a lifestyle that her and her husband could not afford. They were living comfortably when she was, doing her professor thing and he was a lawyer. But again, folks always want what other people have. It's never good enough. So, yeah, her mom, I think, put a lot of undue pressure on her. So we're going to go ahead and watch some of my commentary that I did a few months ago. Yeah, this was 4 months ago. It got bad. I had to make the video private for her. Remember that? I took the video private. I was like, y'all can go watch it on Spotify. Because I was getting drugged that much. I didn't understand what the drama was. Because I'm like, okay, I speak on anything that's viral, that's pop culture. I don't like schemers and scammers. I don't like criminality when you don't have to be a criminal. I can give grace to somebody who's poor, somebody who's from the hood, somebody who doesn't know better. But when you carry yourself a certain way and act like, you're above people, you're above that, then I'm going to hold you to a different standard. Now, if she was just a hood booger, I'd be like, okay, well, it's to be expected. But not Wendy, the damn lawyer. Or the professor, and her husband, the lawyer. It doesn't make any sense. Especially when they have children and they didn't need to go down this route. But see, y'all will make excuses because it's somebody that y'all like. It's a celebrity on television. But let this be like a regular couple in your neighborhood. Y'all be dragging them for the filth. But because it's a celebrity, there's all these excuses. There's not excuses here on my channel. They're going to get the same energy that I give any and everybody else, regardless. So, let me go ahead and play this clip. Because I really feel like her mom put undue stress on them. All right, this was me a few months ago. Okay, I think her mother is a big cause of why Wendy feels like she needs to do what she's doing. One, Wendy should have never quit her job as a professor. That was a steady paycheck, but because it wasn't deemed glamorous enough and she wanted that real housewife, allure and aesthetic, she decided to quit and just start selling candles. Her mom has put so much pressure on her, and I hate the fact that Wendy and her mother, they both play into these negative Nigerian stereotypes. Her mom comes off like a skin bleaching, gold digging Nigerian stereotype. We had the stereotypes of Nigerians bleaching their skin. Her mother has that. Her mom is walking around with blue contacts. The self-hate in her mom is just insane, okay? It's like you're a grown woman who looks to be about in her 70s, okay? walking around here bleaching your skin and wearing blue fucking contacts, and then always talking about how she needs money and Wendy didn't give her allowance. Her mom is as insufferable as Wendy is. And now I understand why Eddie's family does not come around. You can tell there's something there that Eddie's parents does not deal with Wendy or her mom at all. So we're going to go ahead and check out this clip of Wendy's mother, not only, you know, obviously skin bleaching, but also demanding her monthly stipend.
Is Wendy mom bleaching her skin?
We pray now.
And she has blue eyes now.
Excited to pray or something? Because I'm praying. I'm supposed to pray. They are my children.
Like, this is just insane. Like I said, they play into every Nigerian stereotype I've ever seen. It's disgusting. Now, this is her demanding her allowance from her daughter.
This party started as an idea, baby, and now it's turned into a second wedding.
That's why I didn't get my allowance this month.
Well, Mom, since that's all you care about.
4 days late.
On top of the $50,000-$60,000 birthday party, I just sent you your allowance.
In Nigerian culture, parents raise you, but the expectation is that when they get older, you will take care of them. My mom does not care about any of my expenses. Baby, if Susan has it her way, Susan will always get an allowance. Always. Always get an allowance. Always.
So again, playing into stupid stereotypes, that is not part of Nigerian culture. Yes, we are... All right, let me come back out the screen. Not me playing a flashback within a flashback, bitch. Okay, so like I said, Wendy is full of shit. That's definitely not Nigerian culture. We take care of our family. We look out. But you don't owe anybody $5,000 a month for their expenses. If that's the case, move grandma into the basement. Move her into one of the bedrooms. Let her be of use. Let her be a babysitter or something. But it's like, you know, y'all are sitting here fronting for television and playing it up. And you clearly don't have the money, because now they're saying that on top of them defrauding the insurance company, she had 67 credit cards in her name, well, in different names. Who has 67 credit cards? So Andy on the reunion ended up grilling her. So we're going to watch that, because they said they're going to prison, child. Oh, well, let's watch a bit of the show. This was them on the show. Grab your tiny violins. I found my tiny violin, actually. It was lost. I found it in my suitcase. I was like, I need it for this episode, bitch. So grab your tiny violins. We're going to go ahead and watch this clip here, and then I'm going to play the Andy Cohen clip here. Hold on. Okay. I'll grab it. All right, here we go. This was on the most recent, I guess, episode, because I've checked out. I haven't even watched Potomac, just because y'all made it insufferable for me. I was like, well, I'm not even going to watch it now. Y'all want to cuss me out for having a damn opinion. Fuck Potomac. So let's go ahead and watch it. This is like a snippet.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think it will lead to us being taken away in handcuffs. It's so
Objection. Why is she whispering? What are we whispering for? Any other time she's loud, the loudest person on the fucking show. Why are we whispering? Let's continue.
Crazy, and it feels like a bad dream.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember in the holding cell or whatever that is, and I saw you talking to your sister.
Baby.
And he hurt and back.
Because she's so innocent. She had no idea what was going on. She was just so happy to hear my voice. She was like, Mommy. And I said, you're going to spend the night with Auntie. She was just like, okay, Mommy, I'll see you tomorrow. And I didn't know if I was going to see her tomorrow. I was so scared.
Objection. Did neither one of you bozos think about Cameron or the two boys before y'all decided to do this? Just like with Teresa and Joe Giudice. I didn't feel bad for their asses. Y'all got 4 daughters. Did y'all think about the girls before y'all went into prison? Remember, Teresa wouldn't stop crying. Quit crying. Y'all knew what y'all was getting into. Don't cry now. Go do your time. Okay?
I was just worried about the kids. I was so scared for them. Never in my wildest dreams.
Girl, you better be scared for yourself, child. Because, you know, when the feds come a-knocking, it's a whole nother story. So now let's watch what Andy Cohen, I guess they did the reunion. Like I said, I haven't even watched Potomac because y'all made me upset. So I was like, I'm not watching. I just haven't gotten a chance to. I've been watching Married to Medicine. I took my eyeballs somewhere else. So I've been on my Married to Medicine kick. Well, let's go ahead and watch this. Messy ass Andy. Closer clip. There you go.
It was reported that you have 67 credit cards under your name with multiple aliases. Pam Oliver, Eddie Hennessy.
My legal counsel responded to that in court and corrected that narrative. Those aliases were only used for package and deliveries. There are no aliases in which were used for any financial institution, and that narrative was corrected.
It was all
Objection. Who the hell uses 67 aliases for packages and delivery? That makes no sense. If you're wanting to get something delivered but you don't want it in your name, you might use like maybe 1 or 2 fake names. 67 different aliases for packages and deliveries? Girl, let's continue.
It's also reported that prosecutors claim you have very little money and are in substantial debt.
No, I mean, I respect the legal system. If that is their opinion, then that is their opinion.
Tanya from Upper Marlboro, Maryland said, how has all of this impacted your marriage? I would have to imagine it's putting all sorts of strain that we don't even know about.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where you hit rock bottom as an individual. It'll test your marriage regardless. But then if both of you guys hit rock bottom, then all you can do is just hold hands and hope you rise up again together.
Objection. So I'm confused. Now she's trying to act like, oh, you know, when both of us hit rock bottom and this and that. Were you not emailing your husband when he was right downstairs? Were y'all not emailing each other back and forth about, oh yeah, add this to the insurance claim too? We have the receipts, ma'am. How do y'all live in the same house but y'all are literally sending stuff through electronical means that can be detected and verified and searched by the feds? But now she's sitting here acting all salty and solemn and everything else. I feel no ways. I'm sorry, I don't.
As a parent, I would imagine your first thought is, who would look after your kids? Do you have a plan?
I pray to God that we don't get there.
Objection. Leave God out of your mess.
Listen, Giselle said it on the tape, and I think for all of us who care about you, we're worried because the case that they're presenting doesn't look good. What would you say to us or to me about that?
Well, I would say let's see how it plays out. We have been to court, and some of what has been presented has been corrected. I'm not here to please the media as far as objecting to every headline that's written about me. So we're going to let this play out in the legal system.
Objection. Don't use my word. Oh, it's so funny how they're all trying to act like, you know, oh, this is such a solemn moment. But again, when the money was flowing and the scams were scamming, it was a whole different type of energy. Let's continue.
You know, you really stand out to me as a housewife. You've been really an exemplary role model. You've led with your education. You've led with your love of family and your culture and your faith.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, for me and for a lot of viewers who've watched your ride, this has been so absolutely just unbelievable and surprising. What do you...
Objection. The fact that she led with her faith, her family, her education is all the more reason why her and her husband should not be in this situation. Like, what part of that do people not understand? This one has 4 degrees. This is all the more reason that she should not be in this situation, because she led with all of those positives. But again, decided to sell her soul to reality television. Let's continue.
You want to say to them?
Well, first of all, thank you for always believing in me.
Oh, girl, bye.
I said I was gonna cry. You know, let's see it play out. But thank you. I appreciate you. You've always been a champion for me. It's not lost on me. You know, one thing about you that you may not know is you give the best hugs. I remember when I was at BravoCon and I saw you, it felt like you hugged every part of me and you didn't want to let go. So, thank you.
Objection. He probably want to let go because that might be the last hug he might be able to give you in the event you end up doing them 10 to 15 years. Well, you know, it looks like she's throwing Eddie under the bus, so she may not be doing the 10 to 15, but that might have been why he decided to give you a hug, just in the event that he may not see you again on the show. I'm just saying. Let's continue.
Karen?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to Wendy if she faces real time?
Well, first of all, we're phenomenal Black women.
Amen.
My prayers are with you and your family.
First of all, Karen, I hope you're not drinking anymore and putting other people's lives at risk. Let me come back on the screen because all these people don't piss me off. Okay? We don't need advice from Karen because Karen can't seem to stop drinking and putting other people's lives at risk on the road. Okay? So worry about your sobriety. My thing is this, though, you know, with the whole Wendy situation, I don't feel bad for her or Eddie. I feel bad for the children. I feel bad for them, you know, because kids don't deserve to go through bullshit because of their parents and what their parents are involved in. And I think the thing that also bothers me is the fact that Andy is sitting here, messy bottom, like I like to call him, is sitting here crying and asking her these questions when she really shouldn't be talking about this, okay? This is a federal case. You need to zip it, first and foremost. But since he wants to be a messy bottom and ask these questions, that's fine. But my issue is this, Andy. When are people going to start also holding Andy accountable? Isn't it interesting that in every fraction of this franchise, I don't care if it's Atlanta, if it's the OC, now Potomac, there's Salt Lake City, there seems to be a lot of scamming in the mix. A lot of people living above their means, trying to make themselves look bigger than they are for reality television. And Andy likes to play crazy, like he's not the one setting the stage for this bullshit. I believe it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I did a video on this. Remember when he tried to call himself Clowning Nene and I drug his ass? He tried to clown Nene because she wore the same dress twice. And then Nene went off like, okay, but don't you reuse your suits? And I said, what kind of shit is that you would try and clown somebody for wearing the same dress twice? And see, this is the mentality that you see on social media, where people will shame you for wearing the same outfit or the same shoes. Because I've had it done to me. Like, damn, T, you've worn them shoes already. Bitch, I'm going to wear them again. I don't buy a pair of shoes just to throw them away. I'm going to wear this shirt again probably 2 more weeks. Why? Because I have a thing called a washer and a dryer. Okay? I'm going to rewear my shit. You will see the same shirt in a few weeks. Because I live in the real world. When you go to work, do you just, wear an outfit one time and then toss it? Or do you rewash, wash your clothes, mix and match the top with a different pair of bottoms? See, we'll put all these stupid expectations on people and then be shocked when they feel pressure to scheme and scam. Like I said, Messy Bottom Andy Cohen was making fun of Nene Leakes for wearing the same dress twice. But now he's over here teary-eyed because Wendy's trying to keep up appearances with the Joneses that she clearly cannot afford. If you have to have 67 credit cards, she can try and spend it how she wants to. But the feds had the receipts. They didn't say it was 67 deliveries. They said it was 67 credit cards under 67 aliases. If you have to have 67 credit cards, that lets me know you are living above your means and you have no real money. And it is shows like this that set a horrible, unrealistic example for a lot of young people. Right now, Pinky Cole is going to be on the new episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I finally saw the, what is it called? The opening, the trailer. The trailer came out. So while Pinky Cole is on The Real Housewives bragging about being a multimillionaire and all this other stuff, guess what just came out yesterday? She's the one who opened up Slutty Vegan, by the way. This was just 10 hours ago. Let me see if I can find the Real Housewife trailer real quick. Give me just a second. It just came out. Super messy, but I'm here for it. Okay.
Once upon a time in Atlanta.
I want to get to Pinky's part because it's kind of long. Here we go. We're gonna watch Pinky's part for y'all who haven't heard or seen it yet. Okay.
Some sluts walking in the building.
I'm one of the most powerful entrepreneurs in America.
Miss Pinky Cole.
I built this $100 million brand. Behind every great man, there's an even better woman.
Dallas, here we come.
All right. So y'all just heard her. I built a $100 million brand. I'm rich. All this stuff. Well, this just came out yesterday. Slutty vegan restaurant founder Pinky Cole files for bankruptcy. You can't make this shit up.
He's hit a 14-year high in 2024, and already in 2025, that trend seems to be continuing. According to the S&P Global Market Intelligence Report.
Okay, I don't know who this white man is. I thought he was going to break the story. But let me see if I can find it on the news clip. Give me just a second. Yeah, this just came out yesterday that she's now filing for bankruptcy. You can't make this shit up. And this is why I tell y'all, everything that glitters is not gold. Here goes the news.
On New Tonight,
I found the news article. Hold on. I thought that white man was going to talk about it, but he was talking about some S&P.
Of Slutty Vegan and a recent addition to the Real Housewives of Atlanta cast has just filed for bankruptcy. Our partners at the Atlanta Business Chronicle reporting that Pinky Cole owes more than $1 million in small business loans and $192,000 in state taxes. Cole has been in the news over the past few years here for financial troubles involving her vegan fast food chain. She said in her bankruptcy filing that she is currently not receiving pay stubs and listed herself as unemployed.
But now she's about to be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Stunting and fronting on the average man and woman. So this is why I tell y'all, please just live your life, do the right thing. It's okay to live a normal life. It's okay to afford to travel once a year, if that. You know what I'm saying? If you want something, work hard for it, save it. Like I always tell y'all, if y'all want to come to my events, what I always tell y'all, put aside a little bit from your check. Okay? Put aside 50 to 100 bucks and let that compound until you have enough money for your tickets and your hotel stay. I don't need y'all scheming and scamming. It's not that serious. That's why I say do not, everything that glitters is not gold. Don't go off of what a lot of these celebrities are telling y'all, especially on these reality TV shows. If their life was that good, they wouldn't even be on reality television. Because why would you want to exploit yourself and allow people to pick you apart and dig into your finances? Because that's what they do. Because if you're claiming to be a multimillionaire, we want to know how you got there so we can be like you. That's what happened to Mary Cosby. How was this pastor's wife making all this money? Then we find out she's basically taking money from her parishioners. So again, it is okay to live within your means. And as educated as Wendy is, she should have known that. But again, she didn't want to be caught in the same outfit twice. She didn't want to be caught without thousands and thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. It's a shame. And like I said, I don't feel bad for her because unfortunately, as Nigerians, we already get the stereotype that Nigerians scam. So for her to even play into that stereotype, to me, as a Nigerian, that's disgusting. Like, come on, we already have that type of stigma. And then you go ahead and play into it. Like, really? So the whole thing is just very disheartening. But to all the people who are cussing me out, y'all can kiss my ass because I was right. That wasn't a conspiracy. Wasn't the white man trying to take her down. They are going to court. Somebody said Dame Dash. She's another one that be scheming and scamming to owe money. And then they said that Slutty Vegan ain't paid none of the employees. She filed for bankruptcy and ain't nobody been paid. That's what's going around Atlanta. So I think, the problem with her, and, and I like Pinky. Pinky's cool. But I think the problem was she expanded way too fast. She went from being a restaurant owner to wanting to live a luxury lifestyle. Okay? One of the hardest businesses that you can be in is the restaurant business. And at first, it seemed like she was really about that. But then she started wanting to be in these rich Atlanta circles. She went and bought a $250,000 Rolls Royce, huge mansion. And then she started expanding really quickly. And when you're pouring money into so many different things, that can mess you up. I think she should have just stuck with the food truck, maybe a brick and mortar in Atlanta, and let that be like a staple that people come to Atlanta to come visit. But she tried to expand way too fast. Franchising is no joke. You got to be able to keep tabs of everything. The money, the employees. It's a lot of work. And you have to have good business people around you, and I don't think she had that around her, unfortunately. So again, people start making money. Somebody said, Deborah said Pinky got greedy. Yeah, people start making money and they want to start living this crazy lifestyle. And you still have to be smart with your money. Money, anything can change for any of us, myself included. You got to be smart with your money. Right now we're dealing with a war. If the internet gets knocked out, what are we going to do? So you got to save for a rainy day. Everything is not about keeping up appearances. And I hate the fact that Wendy got caught up in that. Because out of everybody, she shouldn't have gave a damn. Because she had her degrees to fall back on. She was smart. She was educated. So the fact that she fell into the same trappings as so many other people is insane. But I'm not moved by the tears. I wasn't moved by the tears when Teresa Giudice was crying tattoo tears. I wasn't moved by Jen Shaw. Y'all knew what y'all was doing. And then the thing is, y'all sat here and talked down on people, showed off. made it seem like y'all was up here and everybody else was down here, but the whole time y'all was scheming and scamming. So it's a shame. Somebody says I need to do a deep dive about the Dubai influencers. Oh, I'm sure a lot of them are struggling. They love to go to Dubai and show off. Now they stuck out there, but that's their business. I hope they, they just remain safe and, find a bomb shelter. But yeah, it's a lot, it's a lot. But like I said, I don't feel bad for her. These are decisions that her and her grown husband chose to make. They chose to put money and fame and the Real Housewives before common sense. And I think Andy helps to perpetuate a lot of the bullshit. But he gets to sit back as an executive producer, make money while never exposing his life, never exposing his skeletons, and gets rich off of all these women. But it's like, can you blame him? They keep running to go do his show. So, it's a mess, y'all. How long have I been on here? An hour and 26 minutes. Okay, we're making good time. Let me read some of these super chats here. Far from Marcus? Oh no, far from a curse. Okay. 7402 said 1999 says, I'm glad you're feeling better. I love listening to you. I wish I could have subscribed to the Discord to be around like minds during this crazy time, but I always miss enrollment. Can you open it up again, please? Love you. Right now we are being very private about the Discord because it is our safe space. We're having a lot of very deep discussions. We did a Zoom meeting the other day. And I'm on Zoom's ass. They better find that audio. I'm on their ass. I already told them, if they don't pull it up, we're moving shop. We'll be going elsewhere. But, send me an email. And Rejoice will get to your email. Make sure you send your YouTube name so we know that it's coming from you. And send me an email. But right now, I don't want to open it up right now. There's a lot going on and people just want a safe space to talk. So right now we don't really want a lot of, we don't want too many newbies coming in there. So that is our safe space. A lot of people are going through it and we're able to share a lot of information. So that's why it's just not open. I opened it, back in November, I opened it twice. So I kind of said that after that I wasn't going to open it this year until things kind of settled down. But now with so much stuff going on, I really don't want to flood the zone with a bunch of new people, to be honest. But send an email and we'll get you in there because you asked. So just send me an email. Y'all be nice. Look at the Discord. It's on my nose. Stay outside. Thank you. Until that is our space. We are so protective of the Discord. That is our safe space. And you'll get it once you get in there. You'll understand. You know what I mean? But yeah. Yeah, that is our safe space. Let's see here. AA Virgo sent $2, says surviving Stefon Diddy coming soon. Y'all are a mess. I can see that happening though. Let's see here. Free the people, eat the rich. Sent $4.99 says even Will Smith smacked Chris Rock talking about his wife. And Tip is far from Will Smith. 50 is playing a dangerous game. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, I don't think 50 Cent cares. He don't care. He don't have no loyalty to nobody. He's his own man. So it's going to be interesting to see how much further this beef goes. Let's see here. Far from a curse says the Wendy situation literally makes no sense. Mind you, her husband is an attorney. Exactly. So he knows the laws. That's what it does not make any sense. But again, that reality television, trying to keep up appearances. You know, it's real. Even with some of these social media influencers. For years, you know, a lot of them try to keep up appearances. You know, they get these houses. Look at the Ace family. Buying all these multi-million-dollar homes that they couldn't afford. You know? And now that the tide is shifting, a lot of people are not into that type of content. They said even Michaela, people been going in on her, the girl on TikTok. You know, her money's not money like it once was. So they're all trying to shift and, you know, regroup and do new stuff. But it's like, you just gotta be mindful of that stuff. You can't get caught up in the hype. You know, if they don't want to accept her because her home is not as grand as other people, then that's just not the show for you. Sometimes it's okay to just live a normal life. So, I mean, let's not forget, you know, she came to social media and said that her home was robbed. Imagine how many people were sad for her, prayed for her, were invested in her story, only to find out that there was no robbery. So, I mean, you know, it's not a victimless crime. When you start spreading falsehoods like that, that raises the insurance rates in the neighborhood for everybody else. So, yeah. Yeah, Michaela, the white girl that does makeup on TikTok, the one that's like, I'm from Boston. With the fake Boston accent, yeah. A lot of people have been dragging her lately. Somebody said the Ace family's living in an Airbnb. All that money that they had and they're living in the Airbnb. Damn. That's a shame. Let's see here. It's Tish42 says, hell, I'm Jones and I can't keep up. Uppity fucks. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's see here. Abina Tuesday says, dang auntie, can I rejoin Discord? It's been like 4 years for me. Pretty please. Child, how did you get kicked out 4 years ago? You never came back. It's been open so many times in the past 4 years. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get to the good stuff because it's an hour and 32 minutes, so I got about another half hour. So, the Ace family. I never watched their videos. I only saw their controversy. I can't get into like family content. I'm not into that stuff, but I mean, I would see when they would go viral for like controversial stuff or scamming their fans. And, you know, all types of stuff. But they made so much money. I just don't understand how they have nothing to show for it. Because even the wife was, like, selling skincare at one point. So I don't get it. But, you know, that's what happens when you live above your means. So. Let me go ahead. Let's watch this video here. I got two videos of Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. So Nick Fuentes been going off as of late. You know, clock is right 2 times a day. And so he's been saying some real stuff about what's going on with the presidency. A lot of people were shocked by what he had to say, but I don't disagree with him. So I'm going to play that clip. I'm also going to play the clip of him and Alex Jones as well, going back and forth. So let's go ahead and watch this here.
Has gone horribly wrong. All of those people, with some exceptions, were never Trumpers in 2016. Shapiro didn't vote for Trump in 2016. Mark Levin was critical of Trump in 2016. Where were these people when the movement was actually born, when those pillars were in place? Now all of those people are in the center. The movement is something else now. And what we need in 2028, this is our last chance, we need in 2026 for this administration to be shut the fuck down. What does this administration do other than cover up the Epstein files, embezzle money through government contracts, and bring us to war for Israel? This administration needs to be shut down immediately. Do not vote in the midterms. And if you do, vote for Democrats. Fuck this. That is what the Republicans deliver. That is what our golden age looks like. The tariffs were refunded. The deportations were stopped. They wound down and withdrew the ICE from Minneapolis. What does this administration do other than embezzle money, go to war with Iran, and bury the Epstein files? Oh, and blackmail Harvard so they police anti-Semitism and ban people who criticize Israel from being in America. This administration needs to be shut down immediately. It has forfeited its mandate. They promise no new wars. They promise mass deportations and America first. And we're not getting any of it. So shut it down. In 2026, shut it down. And our only hope is that in 2028, in the Republican primary, somebody will emerge who will actually put America first. I am not voting for the vice president and the secretary of state that brought us to war in Iran. I won't do it. 2026, shut it down. You got to burn the house down with them inside, metaphorically. And in 28, you better hope that somebody has a prayer to run the Trump strategy and do another hostile takeover over the GOP. Otherwise, I'm going to become a Democrat. Like, at that point, rather than be beholden to this country, that is our last chance. 28 Republican primary, we need a Trumpian figure to relight the candle. Someone needs to take the flame and take it further than Trump. He needs to take the baton and take it further and fulfill America first. That is the only way out of this at this point. And anybody that is not on this is not serious. The only takeaway that I have from all of these, something has gone horribly wrong.
All right, so y'all just heard what Nick Fuentes had to say. So he went viral with this video. So a lot of people were shocked that he was talking about voting Democrat and all this stuff. So he ended up doing an interview with crazy-ass Alex Jones. And so they did their interview. So I'm going to go ahead and play you guys that clip as well. And Alex Jones, I have two clips. He's damn near crying because he's finally coming to the realization that, you know, Trump is not his guy. Alex Jones is just a weirdo at this point. I'm so disappointed in him. Because at one point in time, he was like the king of conspiracy theories. And he's like a shell of himself. I have no respect for Alex Jones. Let's see here. Oops, what am I doing? Okay, there we go.
The Democrats are trying to put me in prison. They run show trials on HBO. So obviously, it's not that I'm being paid off by Trump. I've been persecuted for supporting him. So I want to now pay out on this. I want to save the country, secure the border, find the missing kids. I want to believe. But I'm not in a cult. I'm not delusional. So I was like, I'm critical. This is overall good. But and now I'm just like, now I'm having to think of the off ramp. Nick, we've talked about this privately. You know, you're targeted too. They're trying to kill you at your house. This is your name's Nick J. Fuentes. I'm Alex E. Jones. We're real people. We're under attack. So we're in the real world. You do what you think's right. I do what I think's right. You're not paid by people. I'm not. We're just our fans. So to me, I needed Trump as my lifeboat may not be perfect, but it's the lifeboat I've got. And I'm watching it sink by its own doing. And so this is horrifying. And so, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III. And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism, because I fucking need this, man. Like, I want to fix the country. I want to turn it around. So it's not that I was delusional. I still hope we can turn it around, but I just, sorry, go ahead. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen, like I said, I don't think that everybody that supported Trump was being dismissive about these concerns. I get it. You know, we all wanted to believe. I was 18 years old when Trump ran in 2016. And I remember getting in fights with people. This is my whole life, too. At 18 years old, I wore the MAGA hat at Boston University, one of the most liberal campuses in the country, and became a pariah on my college campus.
Something you sacrificed. It's sad to see something you fought and bled for die.
Yeah, and that's my whole adult life. I know that's a huge part of your life also, and now we're witnessing it's totally unraveling. It's an utter and complete betrayal. It's heartbreaking in many ways.
And when I try to salvage it with people, I get attacked as a liberal, which is when these people doing that can't even find Iran on a fucking map.
Yeah, well, what's called for is for us to be sober-minded about the entire thing, because there.
Objection. You're not going to do that, Alex Jones. Nobody's attacking you as a liberal. They're attacking you because you're an idiot and you keep making excuses for Trump. You keep making excuses. That's why you're getting attacked. You're sitting here trying to make excuses for the Epstein files. This is the same man who talked for years about Satanism and the Illuminati and how the billionaire class is doing all this evil stuff in the Bohemian Grove. And then the Epstein files leak and he comes up with all these excuses. And now he wants to cry tattooed tears because his own audience is holding him to task. No, you don't get to switch up and play crazy after you put all these conspiracy theories out there.
There's a lot of Trump haters.
I've been a realist the whole time, but was hoping, and now I'm just not even hoping. I'm just going to be a realist.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's okay to have hope. I mean, we hope for a better future, but we got to be brutally honest about what this administration has become.
So the Democrats are trying to put me in prison. They run show trials on HBO. So obviously, it's not that I'm being paid off by Trump. I've been persecuted for supporting him. So I want to now pay out on this. I want to save the country, secure the border, find the missing kids. I want to believe. But I'm not in a cult. I'm not delusional. So I was like, I'm critical. This is overall good. But and now I'm just like, now I'm having to think of the off-ramp. Nick, we've talked about this privately. You're targeted too. They're trying to kill you at your house. This is your name's Nick J. Fuentes. I'm Alex E. Jones. We're real people. We're under attack. So we're in the real world. You do what you think's right. I do what I think's right. You're not paid by people. I'm not. We're just our fans. So to me, I needed Trump as my lifeboat may not be perfect, but it's the lifeboat I've got. And I'm watching it sink by its own doing.
This dude is so full of shit. He had so many excuses when those Epstein files came out. Even before they released them, he was coming up with all types of excuses. You could just tell he's a paid puppet at this point. He's a shell of the person that he claimed he was. And I think part of that is because back when he started, he was kind of seen as like, a weirdo, kind of like in his own little niche. No celebrities really fucked with him like that. And so over the years, he's gained popularity. He's gained celebrity. He's gained fame. He's friends with, Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. And, he's friends with Trump. And he doesn't want to lose that proximity to fame. I really feel like that's what it boils down to. Because the excuses that he made for those Epstein files, it just blew my mind. Because this is stuff that he talked about for years. So it just tells you these people go wherever the wind blows is where they go. So now, it's a lot going on with the war in Iran. So we're going to watch these different videos that I put together concerning what's going on. Let me see if Aaron has updated anything. It's so much stuff going on. And they're not being honest about the death toll. Okay? I want y'all to realize that. They're trying to say only 6 Americans have died. Bullshit. There's no way that Iran is hitting military bases with perfect precision and only 6 people have died. They're saying that they have put out a listing on Indeed Jobs looking for people to get those, dead soldier stuff and get it to their families. Then once they were called out, they took down the posting. So it's a lot of really nefarious shit going on with this war. So we're going to watch just some of these few different clips that I have, but let me just check and see what update, if any that Aaron may have. Aaron keeps an update. Last time we checked, Russia and China were coming together to help. Oh, man. Okay, he got a few updates here. Okay. Let me just start my other videos and I'll click on his in a second here. So yeah, let's start with this post. I thought this was real interesting.
Belongings of deceased U.S. service members and preparing those items to be returned to their families. Now, to be fair, the company that had posted the jobs, they got a contract back in June of 2025 to provide support for the Army and Navy, all the branches of the military in this capacity. But the job listing was listed today. There's a whole lot more than 6. There's a whole lot more than 6. Numbers from overseas, when you watch news that are coming from sources outside of the United States, it's up in the high hundreds and most likely probably more. That, coupled with this being posted today, filling positions to process the items belonging to deceased service members, we need to brace ourselves. The numbers are going to be way higher. Go love your neighbor. Today,
she's not saying that dead soldiers are being listed. It's a job posting on Indeed.com that was posted on the 4th that you could go and apply for to help, sort and retrieve the items of those dead soldiers. So, and it needed about 500 people. So what they're saying is that if they need all these people to retrieve all these items of dead soldiers, there's no way that only 6 soldiers died so far in Iran. And they've since taken it down. She talks about it as well.
The U.S. government is lying about the number of current military casualties in their war on Iran. Current U.S. death tolls are reported to be in the single digits, with only 6 confirmed U.S. soldier deaths. But Iranian media claims to have killed over 500 U.S. soldiers. Top Iranian security official Ali Larijani reports 560 U.S. troop casualties, a figure that is not reported in U.S. media. This is, however, being reported outside of the U.S. China's reporting it. Spain is reporting it. But the U.S. military has already accidentally revealed that there are more casualties than they're letting on, with a now deleted job posting. The U.S. Dover Air Base in Denver was actually caught posting and deleting a job notice about a position for shipping the belongings of U.S. military casualties. The personal effects specialist position was posted for urgent hiring, suggesting that there are more casualties than the U.S. government is letting on. And this comes after Donald Trump's comments at Mar-a-Lago this weekend that there will likely be more casualties in the Iran operation, and that's just the way it is. Sounds like they were already aware of there being more deaths and were just trying to cover for themselves. The U.S. government is lying about the number of current military...
All right, so y'all just watched that. We're going to go on to the next one here. Oh, hold on.
This was an explosion in Miami yesterday. Just so happened, a warehouse blew up. This was an explosion that happened in New Jersey yesterday. Again, another warehouse just magically blew up. And then I'm getting word that this hospital had to be shut down, which is the largest U.S. military hospital outside of the United States, serving American military personnel. And what I'm being told is there are tons of American soldiers being brought in, bodies on bodies on bodies. So much so that they had to shut down the labor and delivery ward because it was full of American soldiers. If you think that these things are just coincidental or that our American media is telling the truth, man, you better wake up. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to send you to the comment section so people can fill you in of what's taking place, because there's some stuff that I'm just not allowed to say on here.
So yeah, it is definitely a lot going on right now. As far as that hospital in Germany, they are turning away pregnant people who are pregnant in the military who've gotten pregnant, who are supposed to be having babies. They usually deliver them at that particular hospital, but they have now turned away and told them to go to German hospitals, to give birth, to find, midwives and doctors and things like that. And so people are very upset about that, and they're trying to figure out what is going on, because it's supposed to be the largest hospital out there. Why are they not able to service the labor and delivery people? But like she said, they're saying that they need those beds for the injured and the dying. So it is getting crazy. And we're only getting told half of the information. We have to watch other news sources, not just American media, because they're lying, they're covering it up, and so is the Israeli media. They're also lying and covering it up. And they're also saying you can get in trouble if you're filming and posting things on social media in Israel. Same thing with Dubai and the UAE. You can get in trouble for filming and posting stuff on social media as well. So they're trying to act like the damage is at a minuscule scale, but it's not. Even recently, Amazon is having a lot of issues. We talked about this in Discord before I went live. Amazon is having a lot of issues so far. And when you think about Amazon, you tend to think about the shipping. Like, oh, I ordered something and it's still not here. But what people don't realize is that Amazon has many, many data centers. A lot of things are backed up on Amazon's data centers. Hospital records, all types of different companies use their data centers. So right now, like I've told you guys forever, the war is not going to be on the front lines per se. It may be later on, but right now, Iran is being very, very strategic. And the thing is, what I didn't like is the other day, Rachel Maddow was like, oh, their missiles can never reach us and we're too far away. Again, they're still spreading this propaganda like America can't be touched on American soil. And what people need to understand is that they can. And there's also sleeper cells. And the thing is, what they need to really worry about now is not so much a missile hitting New York or LA. If that grid goes down, America's going to be in huge trouble. We've talked about this on this channel for years. If they can hack into the grid, take the grid down, we see how long it took for everything to just go down in Cuba, because their grids are old. Their grids are based on oil. And look how in 15 days, Cuba literally lost it all. So that's the thing they need to really be thinking about. Yes, Amazon's ASW. And that's what people are not thinking of, is that it goes way deeper than just shipping packages. The new war right now is going to be trying to destroy that technology, the data centers, the things that make these countries run. That's what America's goal is with Iran, and that's definitely Iran's goal with America and Israel and vice versa. So we're going to watch some more videos. Yes, Khalil says we can't get too comfortable. No, you can't. If you guys remember back in the day when Osama bin Laden was interviewed in a cave, I forgot who interviewed him randomly. But I'll never forget one of the things that he said when I was a child that really stuck with me, is he says that the U.S., they love life. He says, we love death. And that is the difference between the two nations. So let that sink in, because it's very much true. Nobody is willing to go to war voluntarily and die, right? We all want to live our lives and live our lives in peace. A lot of these people over there have nothing to lose. They've never known peace. For the past 20, 30 years, they've always been some state of war in the Middle East. They've never really known any peace. So for some of them, they have nothing to lose. Do y'all understand that the whole death of the Ayatollah Khamenei, that was a martyr. He martyred himself. He's an 82-year-old man. He's lived his life on the sickly side. He knew he didn't have much life left. The same way that we're able to pull information from other countries and see what they're doing, and the same way we're able to spy on them, don't think that these countries are third world countries that don't have the same capabilities to see what we're up to as well. They knew the strikes were going to come because when they had the 12-day war back in June, we literally betrayed them, did not keep any of our promises, so they already knew not to believe shit that was coming out our mouths. So he was prepared. And for him, he'd rather die like a martyr than die like a coward running. They thought taking out the Ayatollah Khamenei was going to collapse their government. Absolutely not. He has people in place. Just like a few years ago when they killed the last Ayatollah, whatever guy that was super, super up there. What happened? Everything just kept running business as usual. They don't leave the power to one person. So it's a lot of things going on with this war. There's also a very spiritual aspect of the war as well. And maybe I'll talk about that later, maybe I won't. But, yeah. Let's watch this video real quick.
Taking a bloody good hiding. But you don't know it. You don't know it for two reasons. First of all, anybody releasing a picture or video of the damage in Tel Aviv is immediately sentenced to 5 years in prison. And secondly, because the mass media, CNN, BBC, Sky News, have accepted Israeli censorship and are therefore not broadcasting the footage that they have taken over a Tel Aviv that now looks like Gaza. How do I know that? Because I've got friends in Tel Aviv. Sheinkin Street, Tel Aviv. Near Dizengoff Square, Tel Aviv. And they've been walking around, and it's they who tell me from their own mouth that Tel Aviv now looks like Gaza. How could it not? Because the air defenses over Tel Aviv are no longer operational. The Iranians are hitting at will with the most powerful ballistic missiles. 50 ballistic missiles hit Tel Aviv last evening alone. They're also lying to you about the number of American casualties. How can all these CIA bases, all these American embassies, all these foreign bases of the United States, how can they all have been hit and destroyed with only 4 dead Americans? I'm going to take a flyer, and it's this. There are approaching 1,000 dead Americans, and they can't be hidden forever. Israel is taking...
All right. So y'all heard what he had to say. Everybody's saying that the numbers are screwed. Let's see here. I think it was this one. Oh, yeah, he wants to now go after Cuba. Child, you just can't keep up with the shit that this guy got going on.
Cuba, he's waiting, but he says, let's get this one finished first. We could do them all at the same time, but bad things happen. If you watch countries over the years, you do them all too fast, bad things happen. We're not going to let anything bad happen to this country. And your next one is going to be, we want to do that special. Cuba, he's waiting, but he says, let's get this one finished first. We could do them all at the same time, but bad things happen. If you watch countries over the years, you do them all too fast, bad things happen. We're not going to let anything bad happen to this country.
So let me ask y'all this, because he keeps wanting to play in Cuba's face. Let's think about this real quick. Cuba has literally, they're starving. We talked about this last week. They're dealing with rolling blackouts. Their grid is basically down. And the U.S. is preventing people from coming to help them and give them any type of fuel. because Russia was coming to Cuba's aid, and U.S. ships basically told Russia to back off. So they backed off for the time being. They're basically trying to kill the people in Cuba. So now you're coming out a week and a half after you did what you did with Venezuela and made it where nobody's allowed to give Cuba any type of, oil. China, Russia, nobody. Now you're coming and you're saying that you want to go to war with Cuba after you're finished with Iran. Cuba is in our hemisphere, not too far from Miami. So what happens when Iran taps Cuba on the shoulder and says, we'll give you X amount of oil, we'll help y'all out, we want to be able to use your island because it's closest to America to start bombing missiles, being that they're now threatening you and they're threatening us? Is he even thinking about that? As he's just talking and throwing shit out there? Is he even thinking about those possibilities that now, a friend of my enemy is my enemy? You're trying to kill them anyways, so why shouldn't they just connect with Iran and let Iran use their shores to attack the U.S.? Since you keep playing these weird games, like he's acting like war is not a real thing, like he's playing Call of Duty. But this is the same man that says his own son is too tall to serve. As if there's not tall men in the military. It's insane. It's insane. Like the stuff that I'm just seeing, from him, and just like the callousness. It makes no sense. So now this was earlier today with Iran.
Now you're saying Iran does not want a ceasefire.
We are not asking for a ceasefire. And we don't see any reason why we should negotiate with the U.S. when we negotiated with them twice, and every time they attacked us at the middle of negotiations. So there is no request for a ceasefire by us, and there is no request for the negotiation with the U.S. From us. We have never sent any messages to them.
Right now you're saying Iran does not want a ceasefire.
So yeah, he doesn't, they don't want a ceasefire. They're ready to go all out. They're going all out. They're not looking for a ceasefire. They're not looking for peace. Israel and America started this war, and they plan on trying to finish it to the best of their ability. And the thing that I think that bothers me the most is, like I've always said, young men, old men create wars, and it's the young men that die in them. And when I see these young kids who are young enough to be my children, and they're getting shipped off to the Middle East, and they don't even know if they're going to come home or not, it's insane. Because some of these kids are like literally 18, fresh out of high school. But because they enlisted, they have no choice. And like I've been saying for the past 3 years, and we've known this in the Discord for a while, anyways, the past few years, the draft is coming back. So be prepared for that as well. The draft is coming back. They've even upped the age limit of the draft. Because they know this generation of kids, they're smart. Gen Z has social media. They talk, and they see how the veterans have been treated. They see how their grandparents and their parents were treated when they got out of the military. You got military members who can't even find proper health care at the VA. You have homeless vets. So these kids are not trying to sign up for the military like that. Not in droves, not like generations before. They don't want to die in somebody else's war. So now they will be bringing back the draft. And that's the part that's very scary. Especially if you have boys. So now let's talk about let me talk about the warship. Okay, let me play this. He made some good points. And then we'll talk about the warship.
Reason why this war with Iran feels so confusing. So let me cut right through it. My name's Adam. I used to be in the CIA, and we've been doing daily updates on the war. Today, I'll give you the facts from the last 24 hours, but then I'm going to give you the tools to understand strategically why this war is spinning out of control. So here's what you need to know. Last night, the Iranians hit Azerbaijan's international airport. More explosions reported in Abu Dhabi. The UAE continues to be the hardest hit in the region. There's footage claiming to show Iranian ballistic missiles over Jordan. Iran hit the primary oil refinery in Bahrain, which is still on fire, and a missile struck near a U.S. naval installation. A U.S. Navy sub sank an Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka. And finally, U.S. CENTCOM is requesting support for another 100 days of Iran operations. So that's what happened. Now here's why it matters. This is no longer a contained operation between Israel, the U.S., and Iran. This is now a regional conflict involving 17 countries, and those in charge of American strategic policy are fundamentally unequipped to handle it. They've also spent the last 15 months undermining our diplomatic readiness and our relationships with global allies, both of which are necessary to prosecute this kind of war. Consider, Trump fired dozens of senior career diplomats. Several strategic posts in the Middle East have been vacant for over a year. He fired more than 1,300 State Department employees, many of whom were Middle East and counterterrorism experts. They dismantled USAID, an agency that should be playing a critical role in navigating the conflict and post-conflict environments. Kash Patel also fired a dozen agents and staff from the FBI's counterintelligence unit specifically tasked with monitoring threats from Iran. I know firsthand that Iran has a very capable intel service that has networks and cells all over the world. We haven't even...
Let me also speak on the firing of people, because I think a lot of people thought it was funny when Elon Musk got up there with that stupid ass chainsaw. We talked about it months ago and was, slicing jobs and, we don't need this job because we're too stupid to even understand what this person's job entails. What he's saying is some real stuff. They have gutted so much stuff. That's why we're also in this position where we're not even able to get proper intel. But a lot of people have been seeing on social media have been asking, why are Americans stuck in Dubai and in these other countries? Why weren't they able to get help? Because the people who coordinate things to get you guys out of these countries when war and things like that break out or, natural disasters, their jobs were cut. And a lot of those people, they left America and went back overseas. So again, these are consequences. Those people that naturally go and get folks, those jobs were cut. The ones who set up flights and find out, how many Americans, are registered at the embassy that we need to set up a flight to go and get or, set up ways to get them safe. Those positions weren't needed. Remember when all the MAGA people were laughing at these people losing their jobs? Well, those were some of the people whose jobs were cut.
Even seen those networks activated yet, but terrorism, sabotage, assassination, it's all on the table. When we stack all of this together, a bigger picture emerges, a picture of incompetence, lack of planning, and an inability to understand, even intellectually, the scale of the crisis they've created. That's why this conflict is spinning out of control, and this is where our alliances will be critical. Right now, the European allies are hesitantly supporting us. The French sent fighter jets, the Dutch sent warships, even the Ukrainians, they're sending drone teams. All of this despite repeated disrespect from the Trump administration over the last year. Because even if our leaders don't understand it, our allies do. They recognize this moment is critical, and they are attempting to protect, stabilize, and de-escalate. On the other hand, Trump, Hegseth, Rubio, Noam, Patel, all of them, they failed in their duty to act in the best interest of the American people. In only 5 short days, they unilaterally committed us to a massive regional war. This dwarfs Iraq or Afghanistan in complexity and in scale. And when we look at who's in command, who's making decisions, and who's working with our allies, we see a team of Fox News hosts, podcasters, Nepo babies, billionaires, and Mar-a-Lago influencers. And in charge of all of them, at the head of the table, is a calloused and diminished president who spent more time with Jeffrey Epstein than he did planning for war with Iran. There's a reason why the...
He kept it a buck. So now let's talk about the submarine that was, the Iranian ship that was hit in the Indian Ocean by the American submarine or American torpedo, and that hasn't happened since World War II. And they were bragging about it. Like Pete Hegseth was bragging about it. And now we're finding out that that was not an Iranian warship. It was just like a regular ship. None of these people had any type of ammunition on board. They were there to do some type of performance in India, and they were basically just shot up, blown up. So we're going to watch Neil break this down. I like his videos. He's pretty cool. He be going in low key. So he breaks this down a lot further.
Well, we all heard the news that 2 days ago, the U.S. Navy just torpedoed the Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean, right? But there are some facts just came out. I double checked, and this is some of the details. And it was not some epic battle. Let's break it down. So what happened is the ship Iris, Dina, and Iranian frigate invited to Indian naval exercise in February. Protocol said no ammo on board, so it was totally unarmed. Before the attack, Iranian sailors paraded on land in front of the Indian president. You know, it's kind of like a celebration. The U.S. was supposed to join, but bailed out at the last minute. Then, as the Dina heads home in international water, and a U.S. sub torpedoed the Dina. Of course, the ship sank fast in international water. There's about 100 people, 180 people on board, and 87 dead and 100 missing. Most likely dead too, and the U.S. refused to rescue them, which, as far as I know, during the wartime, you should save these sailors. They're your captives, right? Instead, Sri Lankan Navy stepped up and saved about 32 survivors and pulled out bodies from the water to their coast. You know what? This is such a pussy move, shooting at an unarmed vessel and let the sailor die. This is some new law from American militaries. You hang out with Israel so long and you have no owner now. Anyway, I have more contents on Substack, link in bio, and go take a look.
So yeah, now we're finding out the details of what really happened. So it wasn't, you know, an enemy warship that was coming at them. They were basically going back to Iran from India, and they were blown up. So yeah, it's insane. And then the latest that's come out so far, let me see, let me refresh this. They're saying it could last until September, the war. It's just so much going on right now. I'm gonna play some more clips. So now we have Russia and China, which are not surprised. We knew that was going to happen.
More bad news about Trump's war with Iran as he is sucking all of us into World War III. Russia is now confirmed to be helping Iran. They are helping track U.S. service members in the region. That's right. Russian intelligence is providing intel on where our troops are moving, how Iran should calculate their attacks against our service members. Now, also, China is considering getting involved. In fact, they're already planning on sending military equipment to Iran, and they are helping Iran move vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. They are making sure that Iranian ships are protected in the region. So now we see a new axis of power working together between Russia, China, and Iran. Sounds familiar to World War II, right? And by the way, we all saw this coming from a mile away. The American people knew this would happen. Why? Because Russia is allied with Iran, because China and Russia are allied, because all three of these nations respect each other, they're working together. So I'm surprised that the Trump administration didn't see this one through. Just kidding, I'm not. But here's the problem. We shouldn't have to figure these things out. This is not our job. It should be our leaders who should know, hey, if you bomb Iran, you are potentially going to start a major world war because they are directly working with our top adversaries, the people that you always claim are our number one enemies. Well, you know what? Maybe China's right. Maybe China's winning. And honestly, maybe they're going to win this war because they might not have as big of a military as us, but at least their country isn't being run by absolute morons. More bad news.
Another thing that they forget, on top of China and Russia being BFFs, is let's not forget that China lost so much money in that oil deal. They had I forgot how many billions, but they had this oil deal with Venezuela. They had just made the deal with Venezuela, spent all this money, and then literally not even a few days later, Trump goes in and takes out Maduro. And now America has taken over the Venezuelan oil. So China has no access to that oil. So China's hot right now. They need that oil for their own people. They paid for that oil, and we basically took it. So we should not be surprised that China is now getting involved. And on top of that, let's not forget the Strait of Hormuz. That's where all of the ships go through to, that's where, what they say, like 20% of the world's ships go through as far as moving oil and cargo. They still need to get oil, right? They can't get it from Venezuela, so they have to be able to protect Iran so they can still get oil to their countries. So Russia and China are going to be there to protect them on the Hormuz, on the Strait of Hormuz. So, it's just... people keep saying that he didn't think this through. I don't even think it's that. He doesn't care. This is what happens when you have somebody who he's living in delusion. This is a spiritual battle, and they want this to happen. Yep, gas prices are already up. In less than 24 hours, we went from gas in Minnesota being like $2.38. It's like when I got gas yesterday, it was $3.59. And it's still going to climb up. And also understand that the airline prices are about to shoot up. Because if we're paying for gas at the pump and it's gone up this much, what do you think it's going to cost them to fuel up the planes? So expect plane tickets to go up as well. Just from the jet fuel. I'm going to play some more clips here.
More bad news about Trump's war.
This one, hold on.
I'm 15.
Why is this not coming up?
I came across something interesting.
There we go. All right. She had a lot of really good stuff to say. We're going to watch this video.
This morning, and I'm going to read you guys something. We are witnessing history. Iran, to everyone's surprise, is destroying American bases so thoroughly on such a large scale and so decisively that the world is not ready for this. In 4 days, Iran has managed to expand its sphere of military dominance in the region. Iran has destroyed the most valuable and expensive military bases, property, and equipment in the entire world. The American bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia are among the largest military facilities in the world. These facilities have cost trillions of dollars over several decades to build. We are talking about the fact that the bulk of the military spending that has been made over more than 30 years has gone up in smoke. We see radars costing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, each being destroyed in an instant. We see entire military bases being abandoned and burned, looted and destroyed. And I'm telling you, as far as I know, the U.S. has never suffered such destruction in its entire history, except perhaps for Pearl Harbor, but that was just one attack. No enemy in a conventional war has ever done this to American military forces as Iran is doing right now. It's hard to believe. This military situation is so serious that censorship is blocking almost all new information about this war. If you've noticed, we're getting less and less information every day. 35 years ago, during the first Iraqi war, we were shown endless footage from Iraq. Back then, smart bombs and cameras were a novelty, but every night we were shown nighttime footage. Now we hardly see any videos at all. Understand this. Supposedly, this is the world's largest military power with the world's largest air capabilities, and on the fourth day of the U.S. offensive, supposedly breaking through Iranian defenses, we don't see any signs of American dominance in the Iranian sky. Where are all the video recordings of our planes flying over Tehran or any part of Iran for that matter? American soldiers can't even dream of setting foot on Iranian soil. And to understand how desperate this war is, on the fourth day, you're already hearing the most insane proposal and ideas from the Trump administration. They're proposing sending military escorts for oil tankers leaving the Persian Gulf. What are you even talking about? You want to send American ships into the zone of destruction of thousands of Iranian missiles? Now no one can get through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians have been preparing for this for decades. They're flaunting the idea of arming Kurdish militias to invade Iran. What the hell are you talking about? Have you seen a map of Iran? It seems the Trump administration has never seen a map of Iran. Do you know how vast it is? What does it mean to invade Iran? Do you think a militia of 10,000 people could invade Iran, or even 50,000 or 100,000? Iran will swallow them up. The U.S. and Israel have already lost this war. The U.S. and Israel can kill millions of civilians in their home. They have powerful bombs and can blow up buildings, but they won't win this war. Iran's military infrastructure and weaponry is deep underground all over Iran. Neither the Americans nor especially the Israelis have any chance of reaching any of it. They're in deep shit. They started something they have no chance of finishing. When this all ends, the U.S. will never return to West Asia. There will be no American presence in the Middle East. I'm telling you this now with certainty. I came across something interesting this morning.
So what she read was something that an Israeli journalist and political analyst spoke on. That's somebody from Israel. So this, I mean, it's almost like, what was the point of y'all doing all this? You know? Because there's nothing they can do to win. A few other clips here. Let's see if this one plays. Okay. We ain't seen Katie Kirk in a while, but she's going to talk about how they're trying to turn this into like this whole religious thing. And a lot of the troops are sending messages back home and emails about what's going on right now in the military.
Hey everyone, I know it's hard to be shocked these days, but here we are. And this one is a real doozy. Some U.S. military commanders are describing what's happening in Iran as a holy war. Troops have told watchdog groups that they were briefed by commanders who described the war as part of God's divine plan, with references to biblical prophecy. One commander allegedly told his troops that President Trump had been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth. Yeah. The Council on American Islamic Relations, a Muslim civil rights organization, recently released a statement saying that all Americans should be deeply disturbed by this holy war rhetoric being spread right now. The U.S. military, of course, is one of the most powerful institutions on earth, and it's governed, at least in theory, by the Constitution, civilian leadership, and centuries of rules that were designed to keep personal ideology out of decisions about war and peace. So hearing a geopolitical conflict described as a religious mission should make every American really uncomfortable. But according to recent reports, more than 200 service members have already raised concerns about this framing, saying it could violate the principles of religious freedom within the armed forces. Now, if this rhetoric really is being used inside our military, that deserves serious scrutiny from Congress, from the Pentagon, and from us, the American public.
So they're literally turning this man into some type of, you know, godlike savior, saying that it's his war and, you know, it's for him to like, you know, beat the Muslims. And so it's insane. It's like we have a bunch of crazy Christian fundamentalists in office, the things that's just being toted. So let me go ahead and read a few of these super chats here, and I'm going to get up out of here. I've been on here for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Let me see here. Miss Sparkle says Condoleezza Rice met with the White House. This is a bad omen. I ain't heard that name since like the early 2000s. When she met with the White House today? Let me go ahead and Google. I didn't know she met with the White House, child. Oh, shit. This was 4 hours ago. Condoleezza Rice body going into the White House. Yeah, she used to be an American diplomat and political scientist. Yeah, something is going on that they're calling her. They really don't like too many black folks. So if they're calling her to come in there, that says a lot. Thank you for that, Miss Sparkles. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Roman's Rage says, I've realized after 4 years I have to give up on a romantic relationship. I'm starting my master's program soon. T, pray for me. Well, good luck on your master's program. I hope everything works out for you. And yeah, if you're doing a master's program, you definitely want to focus on that and not relationships right now. So thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. The Cranifer sent $20, says Nick Fuentes is a grifter that barely believes most of the stuff that he says. He understands that the shit that he says is inflammatory. Sometimes evil people say logical things, right? Oh yeah, like I've said that from day one. They're all a bunch of grifters. Him, Candace Owens, I know y'all love her. She's still a grifter in my book. They're all the same. Erica Kirk, all of them. Sometimes Nick does hit on some points, and some of the points are right. Just like Candace Owens, she hits on some points, and some of her points are right as well. But that doesn't change that they're grifting. So I agree with that. Let's see here. TJ says, I bought some gas, and the price per gallon went up by $2 in a week. Yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be even worse, and that's what I hate. Because it's not so much about putting gas in your car. Think about everything that needs to be fueled up. Food, moving product to and from. So the price of everything is going to go up even higher. Because it costs money to move, fresh vegetables from Cali to Minnesota or from Florida to Minnesota and vice versa. So everything is going to be costing more. It's insane. Cazo sent $10, says they're lying to our faces while the press secretary said Spain agreed to help. I watched the Secretary of Defense of Spain saying that they never agreed to any of that. President Sanchez says no to this war. They're lying because Spain said they're not involving themselves in this war. And then yesterday Trump was like, oh, well, we can just use their military bases anyways if we wanted to. And then basically low-key hinted like they were just going to go over there and overtake, go into their airspace and just do what they wanted to do. And that he was going to put sanctions on Spain. Spain said flat out, we're not getting involved in this. As they should. That's why I have no respect for Canada or the UK right now, France. They talked all this shit, but now they're willing to join this war. No, don't join it. Let him, him and Israel wanted to start this war. Let them figure it out. Why should Canadians and British people and France, French people who had nothing to do with it, why should their troops get sent to war? So, yeah, so many countries involved now. It's insane. Let's see here. Baby G says, this is Anna from Discord. Can you touch on how Congress denied the War Act to stop Trump and now it's on the House Reps? Well, I told you when we had the Zoom meeting, I don't trust none of these people. Like I said, they've allowed him to get away with everything that at this point everybody gets the side eye from me. Looks like this just came out. It's insane. Let's watch this news clip about it real quick. Let me pull it up here.
All right, now to breaking news tonight at 5 o'clock in the conflict with Iran. The first is this right here from Wall Street.
That's where the Dow lost more than 1,100 points following an Iranian attack on the oil refinery there. However, it gained a couple hundred points to end the day, down nearly 800 points due to fears following surging oil prices. In the last 30 minutes, the House rejected an Iran war powers resolution.
And this is a victory for President Trump. The vote came nearly 24 hours after a similar vote in the Senate.
Tonight, Chris Pallone takes a look at how President Trump is now responding to the situation nearly a week after the conflict started.
The U.S. continues to bombard Iran now 6 days into the war and shows no sign of letting up.
We're doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi pushed back today in an exclusive interview with NBC's Tom Yamas.
What was their goal? They came here for a regime change, perhaps. They came here for a rapid victory so they can, control everything. But they have failed. The system is working. The commanders have been replaced, and the supreme leader is going to be replaced soon.
Araghchi was defiant when asked about a U.S. ground invasion.
We are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
Iran has targeted American military bases in at least 15 other countries, which led many nations to shut down airspace, airlines avoiding the entire area. The State Department says it's begun charter flights to get thousands of stranded Americans out of the troubled area.
Over 20,000 Americans have been able to return to the United States since this began, including the provision of direct assistance to nearly 10,000 Americans by our 24/7 task force.
But thousands more still waiting to get out.
After many phone call attempts, I've finally gotten through. They said that, as long as I'm registered with the STEP program, and also I did fill out the crisis intake form that was just released. So they definitely know that I'm here, and now I just have to wait on the government.
Iran's threat to burn ships trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz is having a direct impact on gas prices. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of gas is $3.25. That's up 5 cents in just one day and 27 cents in a week. Drivers in Florida waiting in long lines to fill up.
It was expected, so we got to get gas.
The unfortunate aspect, prices are not going to remain where they are, and the really unfortunate part, they're not going to be falling from where they are.
Chris Pallone, NBC News.
So it is a lot. But I'm not surprised. That's why I said I feel like at this point, everybody's guilty. Democrats, Republicans, I could care less. These people had more energy for when Bill Clinton got his peen sucked. They had more energy to impeach him than anything that Trump has done over the past year. So I'm not surprised at all. And it's just going to be affecting us. It's not affecting them. They have money. They can just fly off and go, to Europe somewhere, go live in a bunker and be straight. It's everybody else who has to deal with the mess that they're starting. Let me see here. The other Lenise says, T, did you see the video of the Marine speaking out about the war in a hearing and they threw him out and broke his arm? I did see that. Broke his arm in the middle of the hearing. That was sick. I did see that. That was all over Instagram yesterday. So, again, we're starting to look like a lot of these countries that they claim that we're nothing like. The censorship is getting crazy. When you're willing to break somebody's arm to shut them up, that says a lot. So thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. Dina Laurie sent 5. Says, Auntie, you should watch this professor that's saying everything. His name is Professor Jing. He teaches predictive history. Yeah, we've been watching him in Discord. He's been right about a lot of his predictions. He knows a lot about geopolitics and what's going on. I enjoy watching him. I also watch the Geopolitical channel with Ben. Like, I love Ben's channel. And then I try and watch a lot of stuff like overseas news, like We On, First Post, stuff like that. RT. You'll get more of like the real news than like CNN, you know. And it seems like all the conglomerates have now been bought by the Ellisons, so all they're doing is censoring stuff even more. So I haven't been trying to once I heard Rachel Maddow say that stupid shit on MSNBC, I haven't watched American media since this week. I'm like, I'm cool. It's just been nonsense. DJ E said 999 says all of them treating it like it's a joke, from Pete Hegseth to that lying ass press secretary. The whole administration is a joke. Israel has the U.S. in a chokehold. It really does. This is not an easy war that they thought it was going to be. They thought they could go in hard and, you know, basically thinking that Iran was going to beg them to stop. And Iran was like, okay, you want to go hard? We're going to go harder. They weren't expecting them to have, you know, to do what they did, hitting up all those military bases. And they just been bombing Israel left and right. That Iron Dome is not Iron Doming. These past few nights, they've been lighting Israel up. Yesterday, they had dropped like 80 ballistic missiles. You could just see them flying through the sky in Israel and raining down. And I'm like, well, where is this Iron Dome that they bragged about for so long? So, it's sickening. Dancer 10105 says the Discord sounds like an amazing information in space. It is, Dancer. It really is. Well, we love it there. It really is. Like, I can literally wake up at like 9 a.m. and do a voice chat crying my eyes out about whatever. And there's no judgment. You get a whole nother side of me in the Discord. They know all my little tea, what I'm going through, my breakdowns, all that stuff. You know, so yeah, that's family right there. Let's see here. Kirby Wiggins says, as a veteran, I want to see all of those low-level 47 supporters go down with their kids to get drafted and to fight the war that they started. Yeah. And that's the very interesting thing, is that a lot of them are not willing to do that. They're very quiet. They're not willing to fight. And I hate the fact that young people, and hell, even, you know, older people too, you know, are being called back in to go and fight. You have a lot of people whose siblings, a few people in the Discord, I know a lot of their family members have been sent off, and they don't even know where their family is right now. They were just told, pack up, you got to get to the Middle East. Like I told y'all on Discord, one of my friends, she's a barber, and she twists his locks, and she's been having to do people's hair, and they've been in her chair crying because they're getting shipped off from Minnesota to the Middle East. And, you know, to all the people, like I said yesterday, in Discord, like to all the folks on social media who are leaving comments and saying stupid shit like, just don't go. You don't have to. This is an unlawful war. Just don't go. It's not that easy. A lot of y'all just be writing anything in comment sections. That's not how it works. They can't just not go. If they don't go, it's called being AWOL. And they will come after them, come after their families. They can do time in prison. So it's not just as simple as them. Do you think these people want to go? No. Most of them, they don't want to go. They'd rather be home. They're being forced to go because they signed a contract. So, yeah, it's not just as simple as just, you know, them saying, I'm not going to work today. They don't work at UPS. They work for the government. So they have no choice. Once you have those orders, you have to go. And with this crazy president and this, you know, Secretary of War, this lunatic, he could throw them in prison indefinitely if they want to. to send a message. Because we're not working with people who follow the rules. So it's not that easy, y'all. So just keep the troops in prayer, and send them, positive energy because they need it. Like I said, right now I'm really worried about Wavy Tay. Y'all know he comes in here all the time with super chats. We haven't seen him in a few weeks. So I've been thinking about him a lot. Like, I hope he's okay because I know, he was sent out on assignment. So thank you, Kirby, for your service. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let's see here. Tyson said 999 says, T, I think the only reason other countries are joining is because of NATO. Love you. Yeah, but Spain is also part of NATO, and Spain said no. So I get the NATO thing, but at what point in time are we ever going to hold Israel accountable? And say that you guys started this, y'all deal with it. Because they damn sure didn't ask for NATO's opinion. Like, can we, objection. They didn't go to NATO and say, hey, this is the plan, this is what we want to do, yay or nay. Hell, they didn't even get Congress's approval. Netanyahu and Trump decided to do this on their own. So why should everybody else be forced to jump into their war, NATO or not, to help clean up their mess? Do you know they got the nerve to ask Ukraine for supplies? Because y'all do know the munitions are running low. They don't have enough. They're hoping this war ends sooner than later. They don't have what they need. So they've been asking Ukraine for some of the ammunitions back that they gave them. This is the same man who sat there and belittled Zelensky in the White House and talked down to him in front of the world. Now you're asking him for a favor? The nerve. So I get the NATO thing. Trust me. I'm not, I understand that. But what I'm saying is even Spain was like, no. Do what y'all want to do. You want to hit us with tariffs? We don't care. We're not involving ourselves in this. And again, because they didn't ask them for permission, they didn't tell NATO in advance, I don't think NATO needs to support anything. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, they want a ceasefire, KK. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get a ceasefire. Because like I said, Iran, their policies and politics are more based on religion, on Islam. And to them, martyrdom is like the highest level of achievement. Hence why the Ayatollah Khamenei didn't, he didn't mind getting blown up because now he's seen as a martyr. There's not going to be a ceasefire. Let's see here. Nikki says, T, did you see where North Korea has sent the U.S. a warning? I did. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yep. Kim Jong-un, he's poking his head around. I did see that. So it's going to be interesting. All of our enemies are getting together. Well, they're not even our enemies. All of, Trump's enemies, I guess, because we ain't did shit to none of these people. Shit. We be trying to mind our business. But yeah, they're all getting together. And can you really blame them? I mean, we sided with Ukraine, and we've been helping Ukraine and giving Ukraine, ammunition and helping them fight Russia. So what did we expect? Of course, Russia's going to jump on board to help Iran. We've been helping Ukraine for the past, 4 years? Blackfoot Baddie sent $6.99. She says the United States better not expect indigenous people to fight for a nation that historically denied them full rights and recognition. Oh, yeah, they're going to expect it. You see, now he's talking about the immigrants. Oh, we're not going to be, we don't want to be, just sending immigrants away and deporting them. There's a lot of good people here who are hardworking. We want to start going after the criminals. Well, what the fuck changed? Because you came to my city and wrecked shop. Alex Preddy lost his life. Renee Good lost her life. They done shipped so many people out of here within 24 to 48 hours. People have lost their fathers, their mothers, family members with no type of, due process, none of that stuff. So now, don't you find it funny that his tone changed yesterday when it comes to talking about immigrants? Because now he wants to keep them in America so he can send them off to war. His tone changed that quick. A month ago, they was here, deep as hell, swarming our city. They were everywhere in Minnesota. Now the son, he's talking nice about the immigrants and talking about halting the deportations and that there's a lot of good immigrants out there. So if he's willing to do that, oh, trust me, he expects the indigenous people to fight. He also expects black people to fight. Trust and believe. They have no shame. They have no shame whatsoever. He did a whole about face about the immigrants yesterday. And all I could do at that point was just turn off my TV. I'm like, I'm not listening to this shit. Not when we have 2 dead Americans here in the Twin Cities and a lot of people who've lost their parents and loved ones. People still at the Whipple building. They're still out here protesting. It's just not on the news anymore because everybody's focused on this war. But it's still going down out here in Minnesota. Uh, 21 Chairless just said, could you do a video response to the 3 Miami teenagers? I heard about that concerning the 12-year-old. Yes. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Because I was wanting to do a separate video on that. I will work on that video because I have a lot to say, especially concerning the parents. So thank you for that, and thank you for the super chat. FC49 Cent 10 says, thank you for keeping me informed. I've been listening to you since I was a sophomore in high school back in 2015. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Kirk Zavola sent $49.99. Thank you so much, Kirk. He says they plant this attack. They know Iran is rich in minerals and oil, and since Iran vowed to halt oil production, gas numbers are increasing. Cubans are dying. There's a reason why we took the oil production in Venezuela and why we want the Venezuelan oil. Exactly. All of this was planned. All of this was planned. Trust and believe. They didn't go to Venezuela and take Maduro and take over their oil for no reason. They knew that they did not get that oil because China and Venezuela, they were coming together with that deal. China already paid them. And so before Maduro could send that oil to China, they had to get involved and get him out of there because they knew that they were planning this war in Iran. They knew all of this. All of this was planned. So I agree with you 100%. Maya Nicole Sim499 says, my husband is out there on an aircraft carrier. Pray for his safety. Wow. We will definitely keep him in prayer. And thank you so much for the super chat. Just try and hang in there. I know it's hard, especially with everything that's going on. My heart breaks. Like, this is just insane. I am Mikey NYC. Mikey, where you been? We ain't seen you in the Discord in a while. You been ghost. He sent $49.99. He says, always love. I appreciate you always. Finishing up my nursing degree. Long shifts, but I'm a tea sipper forever. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you checking in, and congratulations on, getting your nursing degree. We definitely need the nurses. It's a lot going on out here, so just good luck to you in your studies, and thank you so much for tapping in. I know my tea sippers. I'm like, I haven't seen Mike in a while, so I'm glad to know that you're doing good. Brooklyn, stand up. That's Mike from Brooklyn. So yes, it's a lot going on out here. Y'all definitely make sure to stay safe, protect yourselves, protect your mental health. Like I said, keep the troops in prayer, because it's a lot of people, whose loved ones have just been shipped off and they have no idea where they're at right now. It's scary. Camp 216 sent $9.99. She said, shout out to my March husband Pisces, who is a tea sipper. His birthday was yesterday. There were bomb threats made at a school in Northeast Ohio the other day. Stay ready and prepared, everyone. Thank you so much for the super chat, and happy belated birthday to your husband. I appreciate you, sis. So thank you so much. Yeah, it is. It's insane, the stuff that's going on. Yeah, be very careful, because they're saying that there are sleeper cells and there's people, out here willing to do harm, to Americans. That's what I was saying. Remember, I was saying for the past few months, do not travel overseas. It's going to be some things coming down the pipeline. Stay in America. Americans are not liked right now. Do not travel overseas. But I get it. People want to go to birthdays and weddings. No tea, no shade. I get it. But if you can avoid going overseas, just avoid it. I mean, unless you're planning on moving overseas, I would just avoid it right now. It's just not safe. What's breaking news? Breaking news, what happened? Chad, I'm scared to hit refresh. Somebody write what happened. Somebody just said it's breaking news. What happened? Do I need to go on Twitter? What happened, y'all? Y'all know there's a lag in the comments. I'm waiting for somebody to write what happened. I keep seeing breaking news. So y'all just gonna keep writing breaking news? What happened? It's in the super chat. Let me see. Hold on. Breaking: Delta Force troops captured. Uh-oh. Ain't them some of the toughest troops is the Delta Force? Let me Google. Hold on. I'm trying to find like a video, but I'm not seeing videos. Let me Google. According to reports, many U.S. soldiers captured by Iran. Oh. Ain't Delta Force the people who got Maduro? If I'm not mistaken. They're saying it's AI. AI generated? Okay. I thought it was some real news. Okay. See, and that's the thing. We have to be very careful, because right now AI, it's like you can't even believe. You know how we say, like, believe half of what you hear. You have to believe what you see and not what you hear. At this point, you can't even believe what you see, because there's so much AI So yeah, okay. Thank goodness that wasn't real, because you got some people who, they got family in the military. I just say that AI is just that powerful right now, where it's very hard sometimes to even tell the difference. So, let's see here. Eat, Slay, Pray. Sim 499 says, my husband is getting out the army in a few months, medically retired, thank goodness. My heart and prayers go out to the troops and their families. Well, I'm glad he's getting out. So I hope he's doing okay, because I know that has to still be hard, because even when you're out, you still have friends who are in and things like that. So, man, it's so sad. Yasmin 1385 Cent 10 says the coverage of why Iran has the advantage was poignant, great. Live T, thanks for keeping us informed. You're so welcome. Thank you for watching. I think before I go, I want to share this video with y'all that I really liked. It was about Iran. Somebody posted it because, the media never wants to show you guys this side of a country. And it was called A Letter to Iran. It was just it was such a sweet video. So we're going to watch this real quick.
I was warned about most, but the one I wish I didn't have to leave so soon. The people who told me not to visit are the ones that have never met the real you. On the news we just see the scary men, not the ones that dance in the park and turn twirling into a competitive sport, or the fathers that love their sons more than a thumbs up in the family group chat. We just see women in hijab. We don't see the fighters, the cyclists, or the generation of mothers teaching their daughters to demand more. Ireland put you on the do not travel list. Maybe so we don't see that a country under 50 years of sanctions has an incredible metro, and all we have for a GDP per capita leading economy is a mini train that stops at red lights. You've shown me that what we see on the news is a low-light reel of government decisions. It's not a reflection on the beauty of the land and people. You're a country of people that stop to give you tea, refill your bottles with ice water on the move, and empty their trees to fill your bags with fruit. Where the entrance to every house lets you know how many smiling faces to expect inside, and where you don't have to put the kettle on because it's always ready to go. I learned to trust your people. When someone says to follow them, you do, because sometimes you end up getting a tour of their workshop, and other times you end up sleeping in their hookah bar. When they heard I was going to Afghanistan, they gave me free boxing lessons so I'd be ready to fight off the Taliban. Stopping for a moment to record the camels results in a meet and greet with the town's children, or the 10th selfie you've been in that day. Some nights I spent in the city, others were camping halfway up the tallest mountain in the Middle East, eating proper baked beans for the first time in months and waking up to shepherds at 5 a.m. But I didn't have to cross the mountains alone. Sometimes with trucks, sometimes tractors, and sometimes even mopeds, we crossed the country together. Your weather was everything from hailstorms to heat strokes, but I wore trousers through it all to respect your rules about covering up. Your roads are a bowling alley with the bumpers down, and I just hoped I didn't become the pins. But you blessed every traffic jam I had to squeeze through, and your trucks were busy doubling it and giving it to the next person. Your signs speak in SpongeBob meme text. Experiment with serifed speed signs and optimistically suggest there'll be a tree next to the picnic bench in the middle of the desert. My Garmin didn't understand your language, and neither did I, but some translated conversation showed me how creative and resilient your people are. Foreign brands are cut off, so you make your own Coke, Fanta, KFC, and Heinz ketchup, and there's nothing copyright laws are going to do to stop it. The internet is locked down, but a few SIM card and VPN tricks later and everyone's back online like nothing ever happened. It was far from touristy, but you never know when you'll meet an Irish lad in a supermarket dungeon toilet or a Korean guy walking home from Istanbul. To be honest though, it's the strongest sense of unfairness I've felt so far, that it only took a few weeks and a trip to the embassy for me to get a visa, but your people could spend a lifetime trying and failing to get out. Where I become a multi-millionaire overnight, but some of the smartest and hardest working people I've ever seen make a few euro a day. I hope the optimism they have for the future is correct, and it won't be long until everything improves. Until then, thank you for the last month, keep pushing for more, and I can't wait to meet again. You're the country I was warned about most, but...
So that was his letter to Iran, and that video has gone viral on Instagram, and I just thought it was so sweet. You know, shows the humanity, shows that at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all humans, and, you know, the people of Iran, most likely, they don't want this war. They, you know, I'm talking about the regular people who have nothing to do with the politics and how the country's ran. They just want to live their life, just like us here in America. We don't want this war. We just want to be able to live our life, you know what I'm saying, see our kids grow and things like that. And it's the billionaire class. It's the people who run the world, you know, who have money invested in the military industrial complex, you know, who caused things like this to happen. But if you look past all of that, you see, like I always say, we have more in common than we have not in common. So I thought that was just such really, like a really, really sweet video, you know, showing like Iran in a different light. And a lot of times you won't even know what a country is like until you actually go and visit. Because a lot of times in Western media, they'll demonize certain countries. That's why I love watching travel YouTubers when they go to, like, you know, the Middle East, or, you know, countries that they say don't go there, you know, it's dangerous. And they end up meeting some of like the best people ever. So, yeah. So I think on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Please hit this video with a like. Feel free to share the video as well. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys. Thank you to everybody who sent the super chat. If I didn't get to your super chat, I'm sorry. But I've been on here for 3 hours, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to lay down. But I will have some more videos up this weekend. I'm going to work on that Miami story as well. So I'll see you guys later, and thank you guys once again. Love you guys. Stay safe.